and their business run. Tune in every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, or podcasts on iTunes.
Warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Satisfaction? Simplicity? Performance? When it comes to vaping, we know what matters. At Fuse, we've been pioneering vapor technologies since 2013. All of our liquids are blended in the USA, and our vapor products are only sold through reputable retailers and our website. At Fuse, we charge beyond in what matters to you. Fuse, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited. Website restricted to age 21 and over tobacco consumers.
With McDelivery, McDonald's comes to you. Wherever you live, your home is now at McDonald's. Order your favorites today on Uber Eats or DoorDash. Prices may be higher than at restaurants.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Right. That's why I put it there.
No, nothing. That's good. Nothing.
It's not our problem.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. What's up, Las Vegas? Happy Friday. We made it through another coronavirus week. Yes, we did. Broadcasting live from my kitchen table. That's right, folks. We do what we got to do in order to get on the airwaves. If I had to do it in a restroom, I'd do it. It wouldn't smell very good, but I would do it. That's how much I care about all of you. Anyway, welcome to the show. We got a lot to get to, a lot to go over. One of my favorite casinos in Las Vegas. Well, they haven't been open just like all the others. But Ryan Growney is the general manager of Southpoint. They're actually going to be doing drive-through betting. You could actually, just like a drive-through at a McDonald's, you can do the same thing eventually at Southpoint. And we got some big UFC matches coming up tomorrow. You could actually watch something on TV and bet on it. So we'll talk to Ryan Growney coming up at the bottom of the hour. We covered this Ahmaud Arbery shooting. I like to call it a lynching. I shouldn't say I like to call it that. Brings me no pleasure. But, I mean, you had two white guys who basically chased after this kid, from what I can see, for no real good reason, and killed him. But we have some people, some African Americans, I don't agree with their comments, like LeBron James. We'll get into that. I thought he made some really dumb comments. So did Donald Trump. So we got both sides of the issue. And then the media's coverage of this. Why is it that Fox News and right-wing radio, they want to talk more about this Shelley Luther, this idiot who refused to close down her salon? That's going to talked about in the news more than this lynching. So we'll talk about that and the media's coverage of it coming up a little bit later on in the program. We also have Tara Reid's interview with Megyn Kelly, and it is why I am now taking the side, and I haven't taken this side yet before. But when you watch bits and pieces of this interview, she does not sound credible. And deserves to be heard, deserves to be an investigation. She does not sound credible at all, and she sounds like a fool. And we'll explain that and play some of those audio bites with Megyn Kelly coming up here in a little bit. If you don't know who she is, she's the one who alleges that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her back in 1993. Okay, so the guy we have coming up in hour number 3, this is going to be interesting. He was, I believe, at one point yesterday, the second highest trending story on Twitter.
He was definitely trending on Twitter.
And Jacob Wohl is his name. He's known as Trump's dirty little trickster. He smears Democrats left and right. Well, guess what? He got caught because apparently he paid a woman off to say that Fauci sexually assaulted her. The woman has now come forward and said that Jacob Wohl paid her to do it. I believe her, but we are going to give him a chance to defend himself. Coming up in hour number 3, Jacob Wohl, the conspiracy theorist himself, will be joining us. So we will be covering a lot of topics throughout the day today. Of course, we'll get to some situations where we're going to take some phone calls as well. But obviously the big news locally, huge news locally actually, is that We mentioned yesterday that Sisolak was going to be speaking. He spoke yesterday, and he announced that he will be officially starting phase 1 tomorrow. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little surprised at that. I didn't think he was going to do it this early. So what does that mean, right? Does it mean all restaurants and all local businesses get to open? Of course not. Does it mean that the protest and some of these idiots that are on the radio in Las Vegas, they were the reason? They were the reason why Governor Sisolak started phase 1. Now, anyone who says that is very insecure about their show. Anyone who says that has a tremendous ego.
You're talking about Wayne Allen Root?
I'm just saying in general terms.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm not going to mention.
Because I actually think that protests have been effective.
Okay. Well, I disagree.
I think that a lot of the social media backlash, the digital media backlash, has been very, very effective. As well as, obviously, you look at the jobs lost compared to just the active cases alone. It's almost 400 jobs lost per every active case right now, and the fact that we have the lowest active caseload in the country for any state with over 1,000 cases. I think all that kind of factored in.
Sisolak is moving into phase 1 per what he said a few weeks ago, that we had to meet certain benchmarks.
Yep. So he's doing exactly.
I don't know that the outside pressure got to him. I think he's just doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
Any outside pressure, in my personal opinion, has 0% to do with this. Also, most of the people that are protesting, the majority of the people that are protesting are the ones that want everything open. There is no way that is happening, and we are nowhere near that. That's why if he decided to reopen the Strip tomorrow, then I'd say, geez, maybe something got to him, but it didn't. Here's what this actually does mean. On Saturday, the reopenings will include some restaurants, barbershops, hair salons, most retail businesses with certain guidelines and limitations. Bars, gaming establishments, gyms, and entertainment venues such as movie theaters will remain closed. I do find it interesting that we're the only state in the country where you see some of those places that are not allowed to reopen on the list. Brothels and any prostitution brothels were up there.
He specifically mentioned brothels, and that was very
strip clubs.
Yeah.
Leave it to Las Vegas for him to put that. I just thought that was really funny. But obviously, casinos are not opening up, even though that the Gaming Commission has approved a pathway to opening up these casinos. Doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon. But I think this is good news. This is what I hope. I hope this works. I also hope that people practice social distancing, and I hope that we don't see more cases. I think it is a good thing that some of these restaurants are going to be able to open up, even though the rules and regulations are stating 50% capacity. There has to be social distancing. The employees must wear masks. And I think many of them are going to be wearing gloves as well. I'm not sure if that's a requirement or not. But this is important. Because if we want to move this forward and eventually get to a phase 2 and eventually get to a phase 3, you got to get through phase 1 first. And we're not going to get through phase 1 unless people are practicing social distancing. This is very, very important. It's just a start. But I'm happy. I'm happy that we'll have some sense of normalcy. Some. Where you can't go to a show, can't go to a concert, can't go play blackjack, can't play a slot machine.
I'd really like to get John Taffer's opinion on this 50% capacity, because I don't think a lot of restaurants can even open under those circumstances.
Well, I think most of them can. They're just going to have to rearrange some things. But 50% capacity is certainly better than 0% capacity. I think a lot of local business owners were very happy to hear the news yesterday, but I also think a lot of business owners were very frustrated because they found out 48 hours before. And I don't think that's enough time. I think Governor Sisolak should have given them a week's notice. I think he made a mistake there. I think he should have given them a little bit more time. But again, going back to what I said earlier, this is a positive. This is not a negative. This is a good thing. No, I don't think any protest or any Facebook group, no, I don't think any politicians or going down to Carson City had anything to do with this. He alluded to the fact that he was going to do this a few weeks ago. He's starting off slow. I do believe he's going about it the right way. And we're going to have to wait and see how this goes. That's the bottom line. We're just going to have to wait and see. But I'll get your thoughts out there. I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about this? What do you think about phase 1 tomorrow? Do you think the governor made the right decision? Do you think he's going about it the right way? And do you agree with him? Or do you disagree? Do you think everything should open up tomorrow? Or are you one of those people that thinks phase 1 shouldn't have even started yet, that we're not ready for that? So we'll open up the phone lines. What do you guys think out there? Again, that number to call is 702-257-5396 if you do want to be a part of the conversation. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. I have to say this. I don't know if you knew this, our producer, Jason Stein, but he's got about 118 people that are working underneath him. It's called our Crackhead Research Team. And Stein has put that together. Isn't that right, Stein?
Did you say crackhead?
Yeah, Crackhead Research Team.
How much do I pay these people, Brian?
Yeah, Crackhead Research Team, and we actually we have all the information you need when it comes to Phase 1. What does it mean? What does it mean for locals? So thanks to Stein and his Crackhead Research Team.
Been working around the clock.
Yes, so thank you for that.
He has data minions.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for that. But
i.e. me in my apartment and a newspaper last night.
Yes. You like grew.
Fair enough. All right, well, phone lines are open at 702-257-5396. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to your calls. What do you think about Governor Sisolak starting Phase 1? Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you're a local business owner, have you had enough time to get your business ready to go? We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
This is a commercial announcement. America needs to go back to business soon, but in states like New York and California, the lockdowns could last months. Now, Newsmax TV is conducting an urgent national poll asking if you agree with lockdowns across the country. The Newsmax poll is also asking Americans what President Trump should do next. So let your voice be heard and vote in Newsmax's poll. It's simple to vote. Just text the word PRIME to 39747 now. That's PRIME to 39747. And then vote instantly, letting President Trump, Congress, and the media know your opinion. And don't forget to watch Newsmax TV. It's the fastest growing cable news channel in America in 70 million homes. Find Newsmax TV on DirecTV 349, Dish 216, Xfinity 1115, Spectrum, Cox, Optimum 102, Uverse 1220, Fios 615, Suddenlink 102, CenturyLink, Wow, and more. Tune in to Newsmax TV. And don't forget to vote in the Newsmax poll on the lockdowns and Trump. Just text the word PRIME to 39747. That's 39747 today.
Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro again covering the big news here in Las Vegas and throughout the state of Nevada. I didn't think it was going to happen this early, but it has. The governor is deciding tomorrow morning, Phase 1, reopening. Now, again, it doesn't mean that everything is going to open, guys, okay? It doesn't mean that the casinos are opening. Doesn't mean like you could go to the strip club tomorrow night with your friends. Doesn't mean that you can go gamble, but what it does mean is that some of these restaurants are going to open at 50% capacity. You can go get your hair cut. You can go get your nails done. Some retail businesses will also be open. However, some of these malls, the indoor malls, will not be able to open. It's kind of like those outside malls. For example, what is that right on the Strip, Town Square? A place like that will be able to open because it's more of an outdoor venue than an indoor. So places like that will open. But, again, you have to practice social distancing.
And reservations are strongly encouraged. In restaurants, and then I think in salons, I actually think you have to make a reservation. They don't want people, like, say, go to a restaurant congregating outside shoulder to shoulder. So 50% reservations encouraged to get in there. Standalone bars not open, but you can, in theory, go into a restaurant that has alcohol, sit down, have a meal, and a beer.
I plan on doing that.
Like we did in Utah.
I plan on doing that Saturday night.
Which was, by the way, Nirvana, right?
Yeah, it was great. All right, let's get to the phone calls. Again, if you want to be a part of this conversation, your thoughts on Governor Sisolak, Phase 1 starting tomorrow. Maybe you own a business. Maybe you frequent a business. Are you excited? Are you happy? Do you think it's a start to recovery? I actually think it is. Again, that number to call is 702-257-5396. Let's start off with Joe. Joe, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Joe?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Doing okay.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned, but they should open it up. They should open this town up. They crippled our economy. They crippled the United States. I don't care about the rest of the world, but this is all a big money grab.
Who's making the money?
Pardon me?
Who's making the money if it's a big money grab? Where's the money going to?
Who's making the money?
Yeah.
NBC. If they deem somebody that died in New York, COVID-19, they get $200,000.
No, they don't get $200,000. That's not factually accurate. That's not the amount. They get a lot less than that, actually. That's not.
No, they get. They get.
Well, all right.
If someone dies in New York City of COVID-19 and they're uninsured, they get $53,000.
Okay. Well, the caller is factually.
Between COVID
Okay.
And assuming they use a
Hold
ventilator.
on, you asked me. Okay, so you asked me a question now, so I'd like an opportunity to answer that question. You're the one who made the blanket statement, that people are making money. Listen, sir, you got to be quiet. You got to be quiet. And let me respond to your question. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the next call. You asked me a question. Now it's my turn to answer it. Okay. Now you made a blanket statement that this is all a money grab, which leads me to believe you think that this is a hoax. And leads me to believe that you think that people are closing down the entire economy, the president all the way down, closing things down so that everybody could make money. And all you've said is that the hospitals, when somebody dies. Now, why do you think that is? Why is it you think that when somebody dies of COVID, the hospital receives money? Why do you think that is, sir? Do you think Okay, calm down, okay? Calm down. And I'm asking you a very logical question. Now, if you can't control your
I think
emotions.
Joe's a new Ron.
If you can't control your emotions, I'll move on to the next call.
Joe, I'm a big fan of you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, Joe.
That guy obviously is an imbecile.
That was a little over the top, Joe.
That guy obviously couldn't even answer a very simple question.
That was rough.
I think that guy is extremely mentally unstable.
I think there's a decent chance of that, yeah.
The problem with people like that is that they're allowed to vote. When you're that mentally unstable that you can't even answer a simple question without swearing at a radio talk show host, you probably need to be in the psych ward. And by the way, for the $50,000 that hospitals get, I would hope that maybe Sheldon Adelson could donate $50,000 to put that guy in a psych ward.
Well, do you know why they get that money, though? Because in the CARES Act, they set aside $40 billion for uninsured patients.
Yes.
And let's say hypothetically, someone had a heart issue, they go to the hospital, they need surgery. If they're uninsured, that's costing the hospital at least 30 grand.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so it is you cannot deny this. It is, and you can call me a conspiracy theorist all you want, but it is in the hospital's best interest at that point to list them as a COVID case and to use a ventilator.
So
period.
This
it just is.
So this whole thing's a money grab.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying
that's what the caller said. That's what I'm focusing on.
The death toll is not where you think it is.
Well, I'm not going to go there.
Because of the way that it's structured.
I'm not going to go there, and I'm not going to undermine those that have died and say, well, it was just a money grab.
I'm not undermining
money grab for the hospital. I'm not going to have that conversation. If you want to have it, it'll be by yourself. I'm not going to have that conversation anymore because I don't believe in it, and I think it's extremely disrespectful to those that have lost their lives to play with death, and I'm not going to do that.
And I will say for one state, Illinois asked for $44 billion from the federal government. That state has been broke for a long time. That, to me, is a money grab.
Okay, I'm not going to have that.
Or an attempted money grab.
Okay, like I said, I'm not going to have that conversation about overblown deaths with coronavirus. I refuse to do it because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, especially when I don't have proof to back up a very serious allegation like that. Number to call, 257-5396. Let's go to Butch. Butch, you're next up in the Vegas take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Butch?
Did we lose Butch?
I'm still here. How are you?
I'm doing good, Butch. What's on your mind, man?
Okay, the governor opened it up. Those restrictions are the things that bother me. If you have a restaurant, they only have 50%.
Right.
How are you going to make any money on 50%?
Well, I'll start out by saying this. Do you understand why he has that restriction in place?
Well, I understand it, but they need to leave it up to the business owner. The business owner can figure it out.
All right.
Better than the governor.
So do you think? Okay, so let's go with that. Let's go with that. So you think that a business owner knows more about the guidelines of social distancing than Sisolak's medical experts? Is that your opinion?
I think the business owner knows more about how to make his business.
That's not what I asked you. That's not what I.
What you asked me.
Yeah.
But his experts aren't in his business. His experts don't work in his business every day.
I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about how to make profits serving food. I'm not talking about how your business makes profits. It's a very specific question. Is it your take that you believe that local business owners, obviously they want their businesses at 100%. There's no question about that. They want to make as much money as possible. I don't blame them. But with that being said, you think they're the ones who should be making those type of health social distancing guidelines and not medical experts. Is that your opinion?
I think they're smart enough not to do stupid stuff, and people should give them that credit.
So by your standards then, all right, so by your standards then the strip should be open tomorrow because you think they're also business owners.
Now you're trying to put words in my mouth.
Well, what's the difference? What's the difference?
Specific experts to make you seem like
No.
like you're the
So where do you draw the line? No. Okay, so where do you draw the line then, sir? Then where do you draw the line on business?
Let the grown-ups run their business.
Okay, so you're saying, Steve, you're saying that Adelson isn't a grown-up? I mean, where do you draw the line here?
I'm saying let the business owners give them specific.
And casinos are businesses, so and casinos are businesses also, sir. So I'm asking you a very specific question. Based on your logic, you're saying that any business can be open. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying yes, you bet.
Okay, so we finally got there. You're okay with casinos being open?
No, I'm not saying that. Yes, I am saying that, by God.
No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Sir, I think you got to make up your mind.
He just changed his mind. It's okay to change your mind.
All right, have a nice day.
Fine.
Well,
all right, thank you.
Listen,
thank you.
Listen, he started the conversation by saying, how are they going to make any money? And so if the casinos were open, they wouldn't make any money. Now, as far as...
I think local casinos would make money. I don't believe that the Strip will make money until the public narrative has changed and people think it's actually okay to go.
This isn't about money.
To live their lives, basically.
Small businesses will obviously adjust their staffing levels.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that just anecdotally, I went into my favorite pizza parlor in my neighborhood last night, and I said, hey, you guys get to open up your dining room tomorrow. And they were ecstatic.
Yeah.
They were so happy about it because right now they've just been doing takeout. So any little bit helps. That's my opinion.
Well, in my opinion, and we'll get back to the calls here in a second at 257-5396. Again, my opinion hasn't changed at all. To say that a local business owner are the ones that should be able to police and put social distancing guidelines in effect and don't listen to the governor's medical experts, to me, is absurd. Let's get back to the phone calls, 257-5396. Let's go to Lewis. Lewis, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Lewis?
Hey, guys, look, yes, it's good that some businesses now have an opportunity to make a little bit more money. But here's the thing, guys. Las Vegas is unlike any other city in the world. Built on crowds, period, end of story. And all these guidelines, no matter how safe they are going to hamper the recovery of the state.
Okay.
Now, my take is the following. If you allow sports with empty arenas, which violates every single social distancing guideline that we have been given, you have to open up the economy in its entirety, because otherwise the government and the CDC primarily is looking hypocritical.
All right, well, let me respond to that, sir, if I may. The NBA, the NHL, last I checked, there are no games being played with or without fans. That's number one. Number two, I do believe there is a pathway and there is a way to have some of these events happen without having more than 30 or 40 people in the arena. So I think you can practice social distancing and have a basketball game. I think you can practice social distancing and have an NHL game, especially if all the players are being tested constantly. I think there is a way to make that happen. Now, I don't know when that's...
How does a hockey game take place if there's at least 25 players on each team? That's not counting coaches and medical staff.
Okay, so let's just say hypothetically speaking, let's just say hypothetically speaking, 100 people in an arena. If they're being...
Wait, but no. You've changed the CDC guidelines.
Okay.
If you allow sports, you have to open up the economy, period.
Okay, I think there is a fine line, and this is where we disagree. No, you got to let me finish now. You got to let me finish now. You got to let me. No, you got it. You got to let me finish now. Okay, there is a fine line, sir. Okay, pot him down. Obviously, this guy doesn't know how to listen. There is a fine line between having 100 people in an arena. I would imagine all of them would be tested on a regular basis, and then having 20,000 people in an arena. There is a huge difference. Make no mistake about it. That is idiotic to say, well, if we have 80 or 90 people in an arena, you better open everything up and have 30,000 people in a stadium. That is absurd. It makes absolutely no sense. Okay, have a nice day. I'm up against a hard break, sir. I appreciate the phone call, but we got other things we got to get to. Coming up next, Ryan Growney is is the general manager of South Point. Believe it or not, now you can bet on sports in the sports book at South Point. I think it's the only book in Las Vegas that's open 24/7, and now it's going to be by drive-through. That's right. Give me a burger and fries. I'd also like to bet on that UFC fight tomorrow night. We'll talk to Ryan Growney about that, and then we will cover Ahmaud Arbery. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. It's the Vegas Take. They've had their live
There's another, JD, who's the other casino that's doing that right now? Circa, that's
stark reality of U.S. job losses.
This is the worst monthly unemployment report in the post-World War II era. The unemployment rate skyrocketed to 14.7% in April, with 20.5 million non-farm payroll workers having lost their jobs. As bad as this is, this shatters what the high was during the recession. In 2009, it hit 10%. A more encompassing figure that takes into account part-time workers and those not looking for work rose to an all-time high of 22.8%. Steve Kastenbaum, New York.
A member of Vice President Pence's staff has tested positive for the coronavirus. A White House valet tested positive for the virus yesterday. The valet serves food to, among others, President Trump. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Police activity on I-15 southbound approaching Spring Mountain Road, blocking the right lane, merge to the left to get by. Expect delays from Charleston. And Cheyenne Avenue is still closed westbound west of Las Vegas Boulevard near Community College Drive. This is for an ongoing accident investigation. Use an alternate to avoid the closure like Cary or Gowan. Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your coverage so you only pay for what you need. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Guys, waking up over and over to pee is not okay. But now, you can reduce those nighttime bathroom trips with the ingredients in Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced. We're talking about less urges to pee at night, less bathroom trips during the day, and better bladder emptying.
It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one.
You can try a full 30-day bottle of
P3 Advanced. Free. Just pay shipping and handling.
No strings attached, no obligations, and no commitments to buy. This is a 30-day supply, absolutely free.
Call 1-800-383-8314.
Super Beta Prostate is the best-selling brand in major retailers like Walmart. But for this no-strings-attached free bottle, you must call now.
Call 1-800-383-8314.
Don't miss out on this unprecedented free offer.
Call 1-800-383-8314. 1-800-383-8314.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Friday. Slowly but surely, folks, we will be getting back to some level of normalcy in Las Vegas. Well, here's one step forward, right? We just talked about how the governor is going to be moving to phase 1 tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of restrictions, but certainly it's a start in the right direction. Well, now 2 Las Vegas sportsbooks are using drive-through services. I'm not sure this has ever happened before in Las Vegas. I'm pretty sure it hasn't. To let customers open and maintain mobile betting accounts during this coronavirus pandemic. One of those is the South Point. And I got to tell you something. The South Point has always been one of my favorite local casinos. First of all, and they're not a sponsor, but I'm just saying in my personal opinion, I think they treat locals the best there. As far as comping goes, they're very friendly. It's a friendly atmosphere. I've always enjoyed going there. The restaurants are fantastic. I think Michael's is one of the best restaurants in Las Vegas. And the guy we have joining us on the line right now, he's the general manager of South Point, and his name is Ryan Growney. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Ryan?
Don't stop. Keep going. This is a beautiful ad you got going on.
Well, it's the truth. Honestly, I used to live on that side of town, and I used to go there a lot. And, I because I live on the other side of town, I don't go there as much as I used to. But I really enjoy your casino. I really do. And you guys do a fantastic job. So before I get to this drive-through stuff, I have to get your initial reaction on the Gaming Commission. The Gaming Commission approving basically a pathway to getting stuff open again. What are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
We love it. Obviously, it's all of a sudden, for weeks and weeks, all it was another closing, another league canceling, another restricted business. So it seems like we're now. Freight train hit the wall going 90, but now all of a sudden the wheels are moving in the right direction. The Gaming Control Board, they've been wonderful to work with. They called and asked our opinions on things. We worked with the other operators to come up with the reopening guideline that we submitted to the Gaming Control Board, things that we'd like to do and that we can accomplish. and to make sure our guests are safe. And so they've been great to work with. The document that they approved yesterday, we had already seen. We were able to provide comments, which we did, and I think we've gotten to a point where everyone understands that not everyone can do the same thing, right? Each operation are going to have different challenges. I have an arena and equestrian center, so obviously that's going to be a different thing than some other operators are going to have to deal with. But I think they've done a great job. I think they've been very helpful, and because of that, I think we're going to have a smoother and safer opening whenever we're allowed to do so.
That's great. I'm really really happy to hear that. All right, so I got to ask you this question. It's not every day you speak to a general manager of a very large casino. Based on everything you know right now, my opinion has always been, casinos are probably going to open up last. That's just based on what the governor has said and what I'm hearing. But you tell me. I mean, is there any sort of timeline at all? When do you think you'll be able to say confidently, South Point, the entire casino, is open for play? I mean, when do you have any idea when that could be?
As soon as the governor tells us so.
Yeah, well,
I've been guessing. Obviously this is unprecedented, so I've been wrong this entire time between things that were going to happen and the fact that people don't understand. We don't have locks on our doors. Like, you can't physically lock our doors. We had to go buy chains and padlocks and wrap them around the handles. So these kind of things you don't necessarily prepare for because you don't think it's ever going to happen. But I think that we are moving. I think the advancement to phase one earlier than anticipated speaks volumes. And
yeah, it's a good sign.
Great news. So we're looking forward to some restaurants and some other businesses opening, hair salons and everything on Saturday. We'll see what happens. We'll see how the people react to it, and hopefully they react to, as the governor has asked, and they're smart about it, and then hopefully we can quickly advance to phase two. He has not expressed if we're in phase two or phase three, but I think that in our planning, we have been planning for quite some time now for June 1st. From
Good.
a marketing standpoint,
Good.
from an operation standpoint, employee bringing them back standpoint, we've been looking at June 1st. I think June 1st is very realistic. All of a sudden, some optimism is out there, so they're talking maybe the week prior. But I think it's that last week in May, first week in June. I think we have a real shot at getting back open with some limited capacities, right? So we're not gonna open all of our restaurants. We're not gonna open the buffet. We're gonna open coffee shop 24 hours. We're going to open Silverado Steakhouse 7 days a week. We're going to open Steak and Shake 7 days a week. Oyster Bar will be under construction, actually. Zenshin Sushi will be open for dinner 7 days a week. So we're going to have plenty of restaurants available for the what we believe will be the demand when we reopen. Every other slot machine, 3 chairs at a table games. So with all of those things, we think that we can get it. I believe June 1st is definitely in play.
I look forward to bothering Ryan in several weeks and asking him for a comp to the steakhouse.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Ryan, he's going to absolutely he'll probably do it twice a week for the next 6 months. That's just how he rolls.
Fair enough.
In the interim, you guys are actually offering curbside wagering, or as I like to call it, wagering on wheels. Can you explain that, please?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, so we obviously we have a very small crew working at the South Point still. Like I said, you can't lock the doors. So we got security, we have surveillance,
right?
And then you got accounting's there. You still got to pay some bills and stuff. So we have a small management team in place, and we were talking about it. And at first UFC was going to run 2 weeks ago in the Indian Reservation, California, and then now it's in Florida, and it looks like it's going to happen. So we wanted to make sure that while people are home, and you spoke to our commitment to our sports wagerers, right? We have the only 24-hour sports book in town. We have 12 betting windows. We built a TV studio with Brent Musburger and DSIN only to talk about sports betting on SiriusXM 204. And we have a separate race and sports book for our race customers and our sports bettors. So with that commitment to them, we wanted to make sure we held on to that commitment and gave them the opportunity, if sports come back, before we were allowed to reopen. And there was a chance it could have been baseball, could have came online. Some of the other sports could have gone without fans and played some games. So we wanted to make sure whenever that happened, we were going to give our customers the ability to make a wager. Right now, they would bet on anything, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm excited to see what this handle for UFC is going to be this weekend compared to a normal handle, because UFC is not, for us, isn't widely wagered. NASCAR isn't a huge handle, but when it's all you got, we'll see what happens. And so our partners at Las Vegas Motor Speedway is excited because they're going to get some viewers that they never got before. PBR ran 2 weeks
right.
ago. and they had the best viewership they've ever had. So NASCAR, we're going to put out some prop bet for them, so they're going to promote it to their people. Hey, your drivers are back, your races are coming back. Go to the South Point, get an app. Okay, so how do you make that happen? Well, we looked at the guidelines. We talked to the governor. Online wagering has been allowed the whole time, but there was nothing to bet on. So now there's something to bet on Saturday. So we got to figure out how do we get apps in our customers' hands, and how do we get deposits in existing accounts. And we originally were going to set up a table right inside the sportsbook doors. So thank God we didn't do this, but so they're right next to the sports books. The customer doesn't come inside. We could safely keep the people 6 feet apart while they're in line processing applications or taking deposits. And then we got to thinking, well, you don't want, what if people show up and there's too many people in line? So then my hotel director says, just use valet booth. I said, oh my gosh, I love this. So now the people never have to get out of their car. They just drive up to the front of the line. We brought a couple of sportsbook supervisors back early. And so gloves, masks, walk up for deposits. If you're an existing account holder, you walk up, you give your driver's license and $100, $20, or $500, whatever you want. And then they take the money in your driver's license. They take it over to the valet booth. It got a little warm for my guys, though, so we actually outside the bell desk. So they walk inside, deposit the money. We're going to print you a slip. We're going to walk out. Here's your slip. Money's in your account. Go ahead and have a good time. For the people that a lot of our people like to come into South Point, get a hot dog, have a beer, make a bet at the counter. Never wanted the phone app. Well, we might not be open. So if you want to make a bet, it's got to be on the app. So we wanted to give those people the possibility of doing that. So you had to get sign up. So we got a bunch of clipboards, sanitized between each use, same process, drive up into the valet line, never get out of your car. We're going to walk up, gloved and masked, hand you an application fresh out of a plastic wrap, whatever it comes in, and then put it on the clipboard. You fill it out. When you're done, you clip your money, your driver's license to the clipboard. We're going to walk it inside. We're going to get you signed up, come back out, give you a receipt. You're downloading the app while you're waiting in the car, and we hand it off. By the time you're driving off property, you have the availability to make the bet. And so everybody got excited. I mean, everyone was like, yes, we want to come back. Let's do this. I got my IT department, my accounting department, my sportsbook department, my racebook department's helping out. And it's been fun because customers, they want to come back. Our employees want to come back too. I mean, they're done. They want to come back in. They want to go to work. And so this was a nice project to kind of, tell our customers we care about them. It's a nice project to get our employees kind of back engaged and thinking about things we want to do when we come back. So the sportsbook jumped in. They came out with a bunch of prop bets. There's player props for the NFL. There's obviously who's winning the Super Bowl, AFC, NFC Championship. And then there's some win totals and some head-to-head win totals all already in place starting, Wednesday morning at 11 a.m.
Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. Like I said at the start of this interview, certainly South Point is one of my favorite casinos. It's always been one of my favorite casinos to go to. Obviously, I'm sure you would agree with this. We want everything to reopen, but we want it to open up safely. We want to make sure the customers are safe. So do you think in the next 3 to 6 months, maybe a year, we're going to be seeing this social distancing where you probably won't see more than 3 people at a blackjack table? You won't see more than several people at a craps table? I mean, is this the new norm for us?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I guess I'm hoping. I guess I should say I hope not. But I don't. I mean, I'm no doctor, So we're preparing for that if that's the case. I can't imagine that it's going to be though. And again, maybe it's more hope than thinking. But I mean, if that's the case, there's no telling what this world's going to look like. You're 3, 6, 9, 12 months. People are going to say, hey, what's going to happen to the NFR? Guys, I'm trying to get through June and July right now, and then we'll worry about those other things, and then obviously football season and things of that nature. Because I don't know, and I'm not going to offer an opinion like I'm a medical expert. I do hope that it's not. Obviously, we pay attention to the news and press conferences and everything. And the one I cannot. People ask all the time, what about arenas? That's the one I don't know because you can't social distance in an arena. So if there's any sort of social distancing guidelines still in place, that's going to be very complicated to do. So I would believe that probably football is going to come back. I think they're going to run their normal schedule, but I think the first couple, unfortunately, Legion Stadium's first game might be without fans. That's definitely a possibility. But I'm hoping once the summer winds down and it doesn't come back as we start to release some of these businesses, that we then start to get to a new normal. And I think somebody said, well, what about when are customers going to be ready to come back? I said, if Golden Knights were in the Stanley Cup Finals T-Mobile would be sold out.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, so but it's our responsibility, and it's the league's responsibility to don't let the customers get in their way of themselves,
Right.
So those are going to be hard decisions that they have to make, but we'll just have to see. I don't have a good, again, I'm just trying to get through June and July with the guidelines that have been set forth, and then we're going to have to be flexible as this thing rolls on.
Yeah, I think you mentioned how the handle for UFC is expected to be huge, and NASCAR they're going to get a different demo. I mean, you look at how well the NFL drafted, the virtual NFL draft, 55 million viewers in 3 days. There is a pent-up energy for sports. There are a lot of people across the country that I believe will go to any event no matter what the circumstances. How strong has your Korean baseball handle been?
We didn't book it. We talked about it. I said, Christy, if you can name one team, I'll let you book it. And he couldn't do it, so we didn't put it up. I know some people did, but at that point, we're going to be a little more conservative on that.
Oh, absolutely.
On that deal. We'd rather get some action on the futures bets, give some people, you got to have something to talk about, think about, get going. So that's why I put all the futures bets for NFL, and then we're going to come out with some fun things for NASCAR. But we skipped the Korean baseball league. But to your point, I was so wrong. So I wanted to do this drive-through for my customers, right? I didn't want them. I didn't want them to have to go somewhere else. If they didn't have an app to get a bet in, and we were the only place you could do it. We were first. But still, I wanted to make sure that was the case. So they didn't go to one of our competitors and get an app, and then maybe they don't come back to us. So I wanted to make sure that was available for that reason. What I did not expect is the amount of people that came through Valet over the last 2 days. We opened this thing at 11 o'clock, and I was on the news at 5 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m. talking about it, which I was also surprised about because it's not that great of a story. I mean, it's a drive-through deposit. All 4 news stations and the Review-Journal showed up to talk about it. I'm like, well, you guys really are hurting. They're definitely on the sports side, and they're like, we don't care. This is great. I said, okay. And then by 10:15, we had 10 cars in line. We didn't open till 11. And the first event's not till Saturday, so that there's not that level of urgency. It's not like NFL is kicking off at noon. Get your apps in at 11.
Right.
This is the first thing is Saturday, and they're 10 deep lined up before we opened, and they were 10 to 15 to 17 deep all day long. I was flabbergasted. My guys did such an amazing job. That's why we ended up moving them inside, because I thought a couple cars would come by and they'd come inside, and a couple cars would come by. So I definitely underestimated. Sally Gahn told me I was wrong. We're going to be packed. I lost a $1 bet to her. And then yesterday, a little slower, but you still had anywhere between 3 and 7 cars in line all day long, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It was incredible, and it's mostly new signups now, because a lot of people didn't still had money in their account, but several people, hey, I don't know when I'm going to be able to bet next. I'm not going to leave this money in the account, so they did withdraw their money. So we had quite a few withdrawals or deposits the first day, but yesterday I would say probably 80% of it was new signups. So we thought that was interesting, and obviously that's great. That's great for us.
That's outstanding, Brian. Real quick, let my listeners know, let our listeners know how they can download the app and they can start actually curbside wagering over at South Point. How do they go about doing that?
Go to nvsports.com, and so because we run the Rampart book too, so nvsports.com is kind of the parent group that runs Rampart, 2 books in Mesquite, and the South Point book, and then it is going to be South Point Sports, and you can download it on iPhone and Android. But if you go to nvsports.com, all the instructions are there.
Well, Ryan, like I said at the start of this interview, I'm a big fan of South Point, big fan of what you guys do over there. We hope everything opens up safe, and I look forward to frequenting your establishment and giving you some of my money very, very soon, okay?
We look forward to coming by.
Thanks for your time, Ryan. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate you. Ryan Growney. Thank you. Ryan Growney, the general manager of South Point. Sincerely, they really treat their customers there very, very well, and Ryan does a great job, everyone there, the staff. So I look for, by the way, one of the best delis in town, by the way. They have an unbelievable deli there. It is fantastic. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back in 60 seconds, Ahmaud Arbery, big developments in this case. I've called it a lynching because that's really how I feel. Well, guess what? There have been 2 arrests since we last talked about this on the air. We're going to talk about that. LeBron James speaking out on this. I thought his comments were ridiculous. And how the right-wing media is treating this story. We'll take a quick break and be back in 60 seconds. It's the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
I'm attorney Paul Powell. A lot of lawyers promise a lot of things. No fee unless we win. The consults are free. Of course they offer that stuff. All lawyers do that. But will they promise not to take more money than you at the end of your case? No. When you call me, that answer's yes. I'll never take more money than you, and I put it in writing.
Call 728-5500 or go to paulpowell.com.
I really can help.
Paul Powell.
More lawyers, less fee.
Some restrictions apply.
We've always had villains to face.
But you are the most horrible of all. We all have the power to do something.
To stand up to cancer.
Stand up to fight. Stand up to win. Visit standuptocancer.org to learn more.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Friday, ladies and gentlemen. So if you remember, if you were catching our show yesterday, we spoke about this horrific story that took place in Georgia, the story of Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old African-American male who was jogging down the street, by all accounts, really hunted down by two white men who thought that he was seen in a neighborhood looking at looking through a house that was under construction. They followed him with guns. They ambushed him. A physical confrontation ensued, and this young man was shot and killed for no reason other than the fact that these two dopes thought that they were vigilantes and they could just, they thought they were police officers. It is an absolute disgusting, disgraceful situation. And I said, I'm not sure if they're going to be charged with murder. I just wasn't sure about that. Not that I don't think they are murderers. Make no mistake about it. I think they are. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, they both have been charged with murder. These two dopes, or as I like to call them, Grand Wizard Clan members, who hunted this African-American down. Gregory McMichael and his father were arrested yesterday, charged with murder. Right now, they are behind bars. And they might not, it is very fair to say that Gregory and his son Travis might not see the light of day for many, many years. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the prosecutors.
And that's earned. That is warranted.
And rightfully so.
Yes.
So
that has been murder one.
So a couple prominent people have spoken out about this. In fact, a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And I agree with a lot of the comments I've seen on social media. Don't agree with all of them. Let me start with the President of the United States, because he was asked about this. And, I guess you could just assume that he's not going to show leadership when it comes to anything. At least that's my opinion. But Donald Trump was asked about this case. Remember, this was yesterday. I believe it was it this morning or was it yesterday where Donald Trump made these remarks?
This is this morning on Fox and Friends.
So this is after these two, keep in mind, have been charged with murder. Donald Trump was asked about this case. Here's what he had to say. Have a listen to this.
It could be something that we didn't see on tape. There could be a lot of, if you saw things went off tape and then back on tape. But it was a troubling, to anybody that watched it, certainly it was a disturbing or troubling video. No question about that.
So the first thing he thinks of, the first thing that comes to Donald Trump's head, well, there could be some things we didn't see on tape. Now, why would he say something like that? In defense, possibly, of these two men who committed this horrible murder. The first thing that enters Donald Trump's head is not, oh my God, thoughts and prayers for this young man's family. We have to do something about racial injustice. No, that's not the first thing the first thing that enters Donald Trump's mind is defending these two white people, okay? These two dopes, these two Klan members. The first thing that enters Donald Trump's mind is, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen, well, there might have been some things we didn't see on tape, and then it went back to the tape, and then that's how Donald Trump's mind works, because he has zero empathy for anybody. Although it sounded in that clip that he might have empathy for the two that committed this crime. That's the first thing that entered his mind. Do we remember Charlottesville? There are good people on both sides. I don't even want to talk about Donald Trump when it comes to stuff like this because it's so disgusting. It disgusts me the way that he reacted to this.
And I have to totally disagree with the way he acted as well, or reacted to it. And that was the first thing he said there, Brian?
Yeah.
That was the very first thing he said.
No, it wasn't the first.
It wasn't? Okay.
No, he
Okay.
did. He did the requisite. I feel bad for the family.
Okay.
But this was definitely
Okay.
one of his first.
Because if that was the first thing he said, the actual first thing he said, then Brian's reaction would be warranted. But I have to disagree.
But I think what Brian's point is that this is what he said on the first day that he reacted to it. When he first learned of the arrest, one of his first thoughts, his first reactions, was, "Hey, maybe there's something on the tape," and that's what he.
You know what I want to hear the president talk about? Racial injustice. Okay, the fact that an African American man could be jogging down the street and be ambushed and murdered. I don't want to hear the president of the United States talk about, well, you know what? Maybe this might have happened. The tape was off here and there.
And I'm not interested in actually looking at the tape, because if there was some type of inconsistency on the tape that would support those two gentlemen, then they wouldn't have had to actually create a new narrative and basically make up a lie about a home invasion, have the police lie to Ahmaud Arbery's mother, and then have it basically go up the totem pole and turn this into a giant cover up. That would, had that not taken place, you could argue maybe there was something else to be seen.
Now I'm going to take
but the fact that did take place, to me, means that I don't care what's on that tape, these guys are guilty of murder.
I'm going to take the other side. As you know, LeBron James is not a big Donald Trump supporter. I thought LeBron James made some very ignorant comments, but before I get to that, we'll play LeBron James comments coming up next. But the way that the right handled this story. Now, well, Brian, what do you mean by that? Why are you attacking the right, Brian? Well, if you watched Fox News yesterday, there were only a couple minutes of coverage when it came to this story. What was Fox News and right-wing radio talking about? Well, Sean Hannity didn't cover this at all. He didn't, not on his show last night. Laura Ingraham did 2 minutes on it as a side piece. Tucker Carlson didn't cover this at all. Mark Levin didn't cover this at all. You know what they covered yesterday? They covered the Michael Flynn case, but even more important, this is something that I find to be very, very telling and very, very important with how they covered this whole thing. A woman by the name of Shelley Luther. If you don't know who Shelley Luther is, okay, there was an unprecedented health crisis, okay, in her state, in Texas. And County Judge Clay Jenkins issued an emergency order that required sheltering in place and temporarily closed most public businesses. She owns a salon. Texas Governor Greg Abbott also followed his own statewide order. And in that shutdown of that hair salon, this woman refused. She broke the law. It was a statewide order. Police showed up. She refused to shut it down. And the judge threw her in jail. She wouldn't apologize. Now, the right is making her out to be some sort of hero. She's the opposite of that. She did this for PR. She did this for the interview. She did this to help her business. She did this to get her name out there. She is an awful human being as far as I'm concerned. She wants to claim that it was about her 18 employees. This was all about my employees. Well, you're not the only one that owns a small business. Everybody owns small businesses throughout that state. So the right-wing radio, right-wing television, Trump TV, Fox News, they decided little to no coverage of Ahmaud Arbery in this lynching. But what they did decide to do was paint out this woman who owns a salon to be some sort of hero.
Yeah.
And make no mistake about it, I think that she is the opposite of that.
Well, I don't think that she is not a hero. Obviously, she had to stay open for a couple of reasons. Maybe she didn't get a PPP loan or whatever. Doesn't
reasons. Matter. There was a statewide order in place.
Bottom line, the two stories should have been General Flynn and this massive case of racial injustice.
Well, I said,
because had this video not come out, those two guys most likely would have gotten away with it.
Well, I agree.
And Fox News or any right-wing publication, typically right-wing publication or network, not bringing this up, it is not good for just racial injustice or for racial relations across the country.
Let me be very clear on this.
Opinion.
Not just local radio and local. I'm talking about nationally syndicated talk show hosts. That some of whom I just mentioned did not even mention this case. They wanted to talk about this. I mean, listen, Sean Hannity on his television show last night did an interview with Shelley Luther, which is a disgrace as far as I am concerned, painting her out to be some sort of hero when we had this lynching that went on in Georgia. Now, why is that, folks? Why is right-wing radio and right-wing television not covering and giving this the attention that it deserves? Why is that?
Well, I will tell you this. Ivanka Trump did just make a tweet. While the arrest of 2 suspects in the shooting of Ahmaud Arbery is a critical step towards justice, the question that needs to be asked is why it seemingly took months, the release of a video video and corresponding public outrage to catalyze action. And that's the question. That exact statement is what every single national host should have been talking about last night.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give Ivanka Trump any credit, like all of a sudden she's a champion for African Americans. But we'll talk about this on the other side. 702-257-5396. Take a break. Be back right after this.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Tested positive. The latest from White House correspondent Caitlin Collins.
A few staffers got off the plane, and then the plane took off to Iowa and headed that way. So it's not clear what happened. Did those staffers come into contact with this person who has now tested positive?
With more than 30 million jobs sidelined because of the coronavirus, the big question is if and when those jobs will come back. Economist Mark Zandi thinks some will in June.
And at least for a temporary period, as businesses reopen, June, July, August, September, we should see some job growth. But I disagree with the president. We are not going to get a lot of these jobs back fast. We may get half of them back. We might get 10 million back, but that means the unemployment rate's still going to be around 10%.
April unemployment was 14.7%. I'm Mike Moss. Convicted former California Congressman Duncan Hunter will have the start of his prison sentence delayed because of the coronavirus. The story from correspondent Linda Kenyon.
A federal judge has granted the former Republican from California until January 4th to report for his prison sentence. He was supposed to begin serving his 11-month term on May 29th, but the judge granted a motion to delay, citing the coronavirus pandemic. The Bureau of Prisons reports 70% of federal inmates tested are positive for the virus. Duncan Hunter pleaded guilty to campaign finance violations. He stepped down from his congressional seat in January. In addition to the 11 months in prison, he was sentenced to 3 years of supervised probation. Linda Kenyon, Washington.
Outrage growing today over the shooting of black man Ahmaud Arbery. It led to murder charges more than 2 months later against a white father and his son near Brunswick, Georgia. On Wall Street, the Dow up 371 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Leonard Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Watch for police activity on I-15 southbound approaching Spring Mountain Road, vehicles off to the right, and Desert Inn Road still closed eastbound between Maryland Parkway and Eastern for an accident investigation. Use an alternate to get around, like Flamingo, Sahara, or Paradise Road instead. Also, reports of a traffic hazard on Tropicana at I-15. This will be affecting east and westbound. Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your coverage so you only pay for what you need. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
Sometimes you hear an idea or learn about a company and say, finally, it's about time. That's what I said when I met the team at Homey. With Homey, you get a local real estate expert and everything you expect with a traditional agent. Everything except those high fees and commissions. Homey sellers save $10,000 on average. Finally, you can buy and sell confidently and save thousands in good times and bad. Check out homey.com or just text JD to 88588 to receive $250 off your listing fee. Homey's got your back.
These are worrisome times, causing a lot of stress and concern, and being in debt to the IRS can certainly make matters worse. Thankfully, there's good news. Optima Tax Relief can help you resolve your tax debt over the phone and online. Don't go it alone. Optima's tax professionals can reduce the stress in your life by helping resolve your IRS problems right from the comfort of your own home. Optima is America's most trusted tax resolution firm, having resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. And their award-winning team is ready to help you online and over the phone, even during these uncertain times. They'll stand between you and the IRS and fight to get you the best deal possible. All it takes is one call to start the process. Optima's tax associates are standing by. Take the first step toward putting your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-709-6011. That's 800-709-6011. 800-709-6011. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Disinfecting Solution knows that many Las Vegans are at home worried about the safety and health of their loved ones. Disinfecting Solution is here to help our community. Right now, the interior of any size home for only $250. The Disinfecting Solution staff are all trained in accordance to CDC standards, using only hospital-grade products, killing 99.9% of all germs, safe for children and pets. 866-800-7768 or at disinfectingsolution.com.
1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp, Ed Shapiro. Glad you can join us on a Friday. By the way, coming up at the bottom of the hour, Tara Reid, the woman who claimed that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her in '93, she has spoken out. She did an interview with Megyn Kelly. Why I believe now that her story keeps changing, but I'll explain to you why I believe her story is not credible. We'll come up with that one coming up here a little bit at the bottom of the hour. We're talking about this Ahmaud Arbery case, tragic story. I call it a lynching. That's really what it was. Two white men in a car with guns chasing this man down for no reason. No reason at all. They didn't give a reason to the 911 dispatcher. Speaking of 911, here is a call that we believe, even though it has not been 100% verified yet, it appears to be Gregory McMichael, 64 years old. This is the father who has some experience in law enforcement. He's since retired.
And do you know what? He wasn't actually a police officer. He was a investigator in the district attorney's office for quite some time.
And he was a cop at one point as well.
He was a cop at one point. He was both. So this is what we believe to be the 911 call from Gregory McMichael. Have a listen to this.
Brunswick Communications Operator Smith.
Hey, I'm about to do a tour. Okay. Great things out here. There's a guy in the house right now. It's a house under construction.
Okay, do you have your address or that house's address?
Right at 219 or 220 Villa Drive.
And you said someone's breaking into it right now?
No, it's all open. It's under construction. And he's running right now. There he goes right now.
Okay, what is he doing?
He's running down the street.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I'll get them out there. I just need to know what he was doing wrong. Was he just on the premises and not supposed to be?
Stuff on it. And he's been caught on the camera a bunch before at night. It's kind of an ongoing thing out here. The man that's building the house has got heart issues. I think he's not going to finish it.
Okay, that's fine. And you said it was a male in a black t-shirt?
A white t-shirt. Black guy, white t-shirt. And he's done run back in the neighborhood.
Okay, and...
Up front yard.
And what was your name, sir? Okay, and your phone number? Okay, I'll go ahead and put it in and have somebody come out there and check it out, okay?
So let's take over here for a second. Let's break down that audio. If that in fact is Gregory McMichael, we believe that is, but it hasn't been verified yet. Even if that is true, and I made this point yesterday, even if this kid Arbery was walking around a home under construction, he didn't say he was doing anything wrong per se or breaking the law. Even if that was true, that does not give you the right to be a vigilante with your dope son, with your guns, and follow this man in a truck and ambush him and eventually murder him. That does not exonerate anybody. Let me be very clear on that situation. We talked about how the media also covered this thing. And by the way, Gregory McMichael and his son Travis have both been arrested, charged with murder. They are now behind bars. Don't feel sorry for them one bit. They're going to spend a lot of time behind bars. There's no question about it. They're going to be charged with something. I don't think there's any question about that. But we've talked about all these things in the last 48 hours that surround this case. I talked to you about Shelley Luther. The right-wing media coverage didn't do a lot on this kid, Arbery, getting gunned down, but they certainly had a lot of coverage about this salon owner painting her out to be some sort of hero, who did break the law, by the way. We talked about Donald Trump's comments, his first comments about this case, where he said, well, maybe there's stuff not on tape that we'll learn. Maybe there's, kind of a defense for these two idiots and these murderers, the McMichaels, the Grand Wizards themselves, And now I want to talk to you a little bit on the other side, though, and I want to criticize LeBron James because I think it's warranted. Now, I've said this a lot. I've never been a huge LeBron James fan. We all know he's a great basketball player. This has nothing to do with that. He does have an enormous platform. I think he said some really dumb things before in his career. He's not Kobe Bryant. He's not Michael Jordan. I don't think he's extremely intelligent. I've said that about LeBron. He's done some great things for people. His school, he saved lives. He's done some heroic things. I just don't think he's a very smart guy, and here's a reason why. LeBron James takes to social media, and here's what he says, quote, we're literally hunted every day, every time we step foot outside the comfort of our own homes. Now, let me be very clear on this. LeBron James isn't hunted every single time he steps outside of his life. Maybe by fans for autographs.
He's adored. He's loved. He's compensated.
The idea that every African American is hunted down, the idea that every African American is hunted down every single time they leave their house is absurd. It is ridiculous. Am I saying that there isn't racism? Of course there is.
Absolutely.
Am I not saying that these two are racist that gunned this poor kid down? Of course I'm saying they're racist. I've called them Klan members. There's a lot of racism out there. But first of all, just because someone is a racist doesn't mean they're going to act like these two animals did. I almost called them gentlemen. It doesn't mean that just because someone is racist, they're going to murder you and hunt you down. There are a lot of racist people out there, sadly, but I think the majority of police officers are good people. I think the majority of Americans are decent human beings that do not think every single time they see an African American, they want to hunt them down. I think the comments that LeBron James makes paints all African Americans as victims.
It does.
And I think he did an injustice to his own people. I
think he should have his Twitter account suspended for a month after that.
Well, I don't think he should have his. It's his opinion. I just think it's ignorant.
That is fear mongering at the absolute highest level by someone with arguably, one of the top 5 platforms in the entire country, if not probably top 10 in the entire world.
There are some
who young African American men and women and children look up to. And take every single word what he says as their reality.
Well, listen.
And that is just not even remotely true. Did these two men hunt this particular individual? Yes. But what LeBron James is saying is so awful for racial relations across the United States that I can't even put a word to it at this point.
Well, listen, my anger is towards the two white men who committed this atrocity. But there are some African Americans out there in the media that agree with us, like a Jason Whitlock, for example, who ripped LeBron James yesterday. And
how can you not?
He's an African American, basically saying it was a low moment for LeBron.
Self-promoting, I think he said.
Yeah. I don't know if it's self-promoting as much as I just think it's ignorant. I don't think LeBron James was thinking when he made that comment.
It's dangerous.
I think it was
dangerous for young African-American men and women in this country to actually believe that they're literally being hunted whenever they leave their own homes.
It's not factually accurate. He's wrong. Does that mean that there are not some horrible people out there that are racist, that commit murders and absolutely. But to say that every single time an African American steps foot outside his home, he's being hunted is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And for those people who have not actually seen the dash cam video that came from I believe that was the truck or the car that was behind this incident, there was some sort of scuffle. You do see the victim, Ahmaud. You see him running. You see him running around the truck, and then you see him tussling with the son over a shotgun. You see him punching him, wrestling with the shotgun, and that's when he was shot. Now the father, Gregory's in the bed of the truck firing off his pistol.
Right.
So this very, very much feels like the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman case where there was some sort of fight. But to your point, why even chase him down and hunt him in the first place?
And George Zimmerman was neighborhood watch. These were just two guys in a truck, armed, who were pursuing someone for whatever reason. And the reason I don't believe that he was actually on video. He may have been on video jogging by homes because he jogged. That's what he did. But I don't think that they actually have him on video stealing things or committing crimes or anything like that. But the fact that they created this story that police said it was an actual home invasion when it clearly was not. They lied to his mother, and it was covered up for 2 months. I mean, you can't believe anything these two are saying.
All right, so I want to get your thoughts on this. Your thoughts on the case, your thoughts on the murder charges, the fact that these two are behind bars, your thoughts on Donald Trump's comments, your thoughts on LeBron James' comments. We want to hear from you. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to L. You're first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
Let me just say, Brian, quickly about Al Gore last night. He was great. I forgot how our leaders were supposed to sound. But now this case, when I looked at the pictures last night of these individuals, what came to mind for me was some of the callers and some of the guests I actually hear on your show from time to time. Very loud, unintelligent, angry, always looking for confrontation and using the Second Amendment to act these things out. 95% of them are white, and they're usually Donald Trump supporters. Now, why do I say that? I don't like profiling anybody, but profiling is why we find so many of these young black men who find themselves in this situation just by being in certain neighborhoods that they're not supposed to be in, allegedly, driving certain cars, dressing a certain way. This is unacceptable.
Well, I want to add something, Elle. I want to add something to what you said, and you're the one who brought it up, not me, but I will emphasize this, and I don't think the fact that these two nut jobs are Trump supporters means that everyone that's a Trump supporter is going to commit murder. I'm certainly not making that correlation, but I will say, hold on, if I could just finish. If I will say this, the father is seen in pictures with Governor Kemp wearing a Donald Trump hat. So what you are mentioning, there is proof. I just wanted to add that in there. And I'm not saying that if you're a Trump supporter wearing a Trump hat, you want to kill an African American. That's not what I'm saying. But to your point, this guy is seen as a staunch Republican wearing a Donald Trump hat. So I just wanted to add that in there for what you're saying. Go ahead, Elle.
That is my point. And if you look at these loud, crazy people, I'm going to tell you, this sounds kind of crazy, but I've met only one black person, one black male who actually believes in it. He lives here in Nevada. Actually, I was going to be more than a friend to him, but he carries a gun. And when he said, yeah, I go to Costco with my gun and all this, I'm like, why? And I think these people have a complex or something. I think you can't even step on their foot. They'll probably pull out the guns. And I just don't trust people like that. And I think these people are all paranoid. And I hear a lot of them on your show, but thankfully you are the voice of reason, and you know how much I love you in the show.
Well, Elle, we appreciate you as well. Good to hear from you, and we appreciate the phone call. Thank you for those kind words. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Malik. Malik, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Malik?
Hey guys, hey guys, happy Friday.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to express that LeBron James had the same feelings that I had when I seen the video, and the thing is, you guys will never understand because you just can't because you're not melanated. But it's just like, it's almost when it happens, you're like, what the hell is going on? The guy was just jogging down the block.
Okay, Malik, can I respond to that real quick? Can I respond, if I may, Malik? And I appreciate your perspective, and you're right. I'm not an African American. I don't know what it's like to be an African American. I certainly have seen my friends in a car with them pulled over for no reason. I believe because they're black. So I have seen it, but you're right. I'm not an African American. But let me just say this. I've tried to be very consistent on this. There's racists out there. These two are Klan members as far as I'm concerned. But Malik, you're a smart guy, okay? You cannot convince me that every single time you leave your house, you think you're going to be hunted by somebody who's white. You cannot convince me that's factually accurate.
No. What I'm saying is LeBron is so he basically did use hyperbole, but it's the feeling. It's the intense hurt that you feel in your heart.
So why couldn't he have said that, Malik? Malik, why couldn't he have said that like you just said it?
I think what happens is with this Twitter world, just like Trump, he gets on there emotionally. He says something that
right.
He probably shouldn't have said. But LeBron, I don't want to say I don't know his IQ, but for a man that just graduated high school, I wouldn't say he's ignorant. I just say maybe just like when Obama said when Trayvon got shot.
Right.
My son. And people thought he was trying to divide the races. No, it's a feeling like me. I'm a grandfather too. So I got teenage sons.
No, sir. Listen, I understand. Malik, let me be clear.
Malik, who do you think has more role models, or who do you think has more kids that look up to them as a role model, Donald Trump or LeBron James?
Well, you know what? As far as that's concerned, look, Donald Trump. I hope a role model for Donald Trump. Who would only Donald Trump Jr. thinks Donald Trump is somebody to be a role model?
Probably nobody.
LeBron,
Yeah.
Yeah, probably nobody. I mean, like maybe they do that killed this young kid.
Right.
He probably looks at Donald Trump as a role model. But as far as LeBron, I'm sure there's millions of kids all over the world.
You are right. You are right. There are millions of kids all over the world that look at him as a role model and take what he says as their own reality.
Yeah, well, Malik,
I'm not saying he's not a good person, but in this situation, this was completely over the top, and it is not good for racial relations in the United States to make statements like that.
LeBron's got two young sons, man. You don't understand, JD. It's not about racial.
Malik, I understand. Malik, listen, Malik, I understand where you're coming from. I get what you are saying. I guess what I'm trying to say is this. If he would have tweeted something as eloquently as what you said, I think it would have been much better. And I understand where you're coming from. I really do. I just think it is very dangerous, and it sets a bad precedence when he tweets something out based on emotion and makes the statement that and these are his words, by the way, every day, every time we step foot outside the comfort of our homes, we're being hunted. I just think that is very, very
I'm not
dangerous.
sure he's an unintelligent guy, but I don't think he has a very high emotional intelligence level. I think his EQ is very low.
Listen, I appreciate your thoughts, Malik, and I appreciate the call, but he should have tweeted out what you said. He has too many followers that are watching this. I don't want African Americans leaving their house thinking that they're going to get gunned down by a white guy, and because of that, more violence. I don't want to see that. What I want to see is these racist pigs get out of our society. That's what I want to see as a whole. But I also don't want African Americans to think every white person is out to hunt them down either.
Or a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old who reads that tweet or hears that he said that and asks his mother or asks her mother, is this real?
At the same time, I understand.
Do white people literally want to kill me every time I leave the house?
At the same time, I understand.
That's crazy.
At the same time, I understand where Malik was coming from. I understand both sides of this. Let's go to, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Matthew?
My name is Matthew, and I've been listening to you guys for a while. So before I say what I want to say, I want to let everybody know out there that I'm a dark-skinned Hispanic man, and I do support our president. And I support our president because, one, he's our president. But beyond that, I also feel that these guys that they did this, they need to be tried, and if they are guilty, capital punishment is for people like them.
I totally agree.
I do not like what I have to say, and I really don't care. Now, as far as LeBron James goes, if people really want to get in depth as if they should have LeBron James as a role model, don't look at this tweet. Look at who he is as a human being. Now, me personally, I don't like LeBron James because he doesn't worship the same God as I do, and that's okay. And if you don't believe me,
wait, hold on. Can I stop you there? Matthew, stay on the line. You dislike somebody because they don't worship the same. You just said you don't like LeBron James because he worships a different God than you. What does that mean?
Is he?
I don't support LeBron James' beliefs. I don't.
But what is God?
Okay. So
hold on a second.
You don't agree with his beliefs.
Okay, you don't agree with his beliefs. Okay.
And I misspoke.
No problem.
It's all right.
It seems like in this political climate, if you say one word and it seems to be a mistake, then people will twist that all around and they'll paint you out to somebody that you really truly.
Hold on a second. It wasn't one word. He said, hold on a second. I want you to listen to this again. Hold on. I want you to listen to this again. He said, we're literally hunted every day, every time we step foot outside the. Yeah.
He is wrong.
He is wrong.
He's wrong in saying that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that people are looking at this one tweet and saying that he's wrong or right. If you want to judge somebody like that, judge them on what they've been doing since day one.
Well, I said that, but hold on a second, Matt. Let's back up a little bit. He's a hero for what he did with opening up his school. He's done a lot of great things. He saved lives. He's not a criminal. He came from a very difficult background growing up. He made something of himself, and now he's one of the most famous people on the planet and one of the richest on the planet, athletes as well. So listen, hold on. I don't take that away from him. But just because he's done all those wonderful things with his life and helping people doesn't mean that we shouldn't criticize him for something he said. I'm sorry, I just disagree with that premise.
Look, man, the only reason why, I don't I teach my children about certain people in the media is the truth of the matter, sir. And yes, he did work hard to become what he is. But what he is now is based in vanity, and it's based in self-pride and ego. And I see that.
Yeah.
I don't want my children growing up like that.
Well, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
Him as a role model to my kids.
And you know what? You're a father. Listen, by the way, I appreciate your call, sir. I got to get to some other calls. But listen, you're a father. You absolutely have the right to teach your kids who they should look up to and who they shouldn't look up to. I don't think LeBron James is a bad dude to look up to. I just think he made a very big mistake with this tweet. He said some things in the past I don't agree with. But point taken. I understand where you're coming from, sir. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Dave. Dave, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Dave, did we lose you? Dave, are you there?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead,
Absolutely.
sir.
Okay. Sorry about that. I really like what you guys talked about, and I do agree 100%. But I go even a step farther. Anybody who murders somebody, as far as I'm concerned, shouldn't go to life for prison. Shouldn't go in prison for life. Should be put to death themselves.
I agree. Listen, let me be very you are so right on that, and stay on the line. But I just want to be very clear on this. When people say, oh, Brian, you must be a liberal. You hate Donald Trump. I have always been for capital punishment. I have always been for lethal injection. Bring back the electric chair. For God's sakes, if a man rapes a girl and kills her, let the family throw stones at his head and kill him, as far as I am concerned. I am one of those
Along
people.
with castration.
I am with you 150% on this. I mean, I've always been on that side of things. So if people want to call me a liberal or call me a Democrat, they're a bunch of dummies. I've always been for capital punishment. Even George W. Bush, he put a lot of people to death when he was the governor, and I was actually for that. I respected him for that. If these two are convicted of murder, sir, I have no problem with the death penalty. I just wanted to be clear on that. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine. Because, see, I know most people would say I'm probably a Republican. See, I don't even know what side I'm on. I just know what I think is right and what I think is wrong.
And that's the way it should be.
I don't care what, like you said a while back, two worst words in the dictionary right now are Republican, Democrat.
Wow, I said that a long time ago. You must be a loyal listener.
But the one thing that I will say about you, Brian, and
yes.
This is where you're probably going to hang up on me and call me a buffoon.
No. If you're respectful
I'm
about
excited
it.
for this.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I don't like, you said you started off when we listened to Trump's,
yes.
there may be something in the tape.
Yes.
What you said to start that is this is the first thing he said.
Sure.
But that was a lie.
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. Let me stop you right there. It wasn't a lie. Here's what happened. So you just said something that is not factually accurate. My producer gave me a cut. I made the assumption, and it was my fault. I made the assumption that was the absolute first words out of his mouth. My producer did the right thing, and he corrected me because we are honest on this show, okay? And he told me, well, those were his first comments, but wasn't the first word out of his mouth. Hold on, let me just finish, okay? There's a difference between intentionally lying about something and making a mistake. I own up to the mistake, but it doesn't change my premise of my opinion, which is Donald Trump should not be saying, well, there might be something else in this, blah, 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 blah. What he needed to go up there was, and all he should have talked about, was race issues in this country, justice, and his family. He shouldn't have said, well, the tape might show something different. There's a difference between a lie and making a mistake. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah, I do. But I wish your show would have put the full tape on.
We don't have the time. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, because I'm giving you ample time to talk, you wouldn't have the time to call in if we played 3 or 4 minute cuts. That's how radio works, with all due respect, sir.
Now, I understand. So I will let the next caller go on, but
okay.
Appreciate the time.
All right. I hope I cleared that up for you.
Good call. Good call, Dave.
There's certainly a difference between lying and maybe not having information and getting corrected.
Had you listened to it, you could have looked at it as we were kind of trying to spin the way that Trump approached it to make him look bad. And I called you out on that. I said, "Are you sure that's the first thing he said?"
Well, you didn't call me out.
Yes, I did. Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't say that's calling me out.
And then Stein,
my opinion doesn't change.
And then Stein said, "No, it's not."
But
I don't have a problem with him bringing up a hypothetical, having more on the video, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so we got to take a break. We're going to continue this on the other side. The number to call in 702-257-5396. Again, that number 257-5396. Take a break. Be back right after this. It is the Vegas Take.
If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes, you need a new start. Our New Start program will stop collection efforts, remove any liens the IRS has in place, and help you reduce your back taxes by as much as 80%. That's right, 80%. Call 1-800-312-9970. Let the professionals at Coast One Financial Group fight to get you the new start you deserve. If you owe at least $10,000 to the IRS and need a new start on your back taxes, call 1-800-312-9970.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Coronavirus update. For the second straight day, a White House employee has tested positive for coronavirus, this time a member of the Vice President's staff. White House correspondent Caitlin Collins reports Pence is traveling to Iowa.
We are told the person who was tested positive was not scheduled to be on that trip today. So, of course, the question is, did other people come in touch with him? Did the Vice President come in touch with whoever this staffer is? The staffer that we should know is still unidentified, but this is really notable given that just yesterday we were reporting on someone incredibly close to the president who tested positive, and now we are learning a member of the vice president's staff has also tested positive.
Just moments ago, President Trump says we may be talking about 95,000 deaths or more from coronavirus. Today we passed 76,000. Coronavirus job losses pushed April unemployment to 14.7%. The Dow up 340 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Cheyenne Avenue westbound closed west of Las Vegas Boulevard for an accident investigation. This is near Community College Drive. Take an alternate like Cary or Gowan instead. There are no delays. I-15 earlier police activity at Sahara looks like that is wrapped up, and the through lanes are all open. Roadwork continues on Nellis north and south between Tropicana and Craig. These are challenging times, and Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is prepared to help. If you need mortgage assistance, contact their team 24/7 at rocketmortgage.com. From their home to yours, the team at Rocket Mortgage is with you. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
Hey, Chuck, I bet a lot of people don't know that you started Dollar Loan Center right here in Nevada.
True story. Over 20 years ago with just 2 employees in a 400-square-foot office on East Sahara in Vegas. Most people think since there are Dollar Loan Center locations everywhere that we're some big national corporation.
I did.
Nope, not at all. We're proud to be a Nevada-born company and give back more to our local communities than any alternative lender I know. We're one big family at the DLC. We employ hundreds of Nevadans, have over 250,000 active customers who count on us every day.
Trust me, I know how lucky the community truly is to have DLC. That was Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center, based right here in Nevada, where you can get up to $5,000 in just minutes. We have over 50 locations and our friendly staff are ready to help. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Don't worry, we'll get to Tara Reid audio. Not the horrible actress. We're talking, well, maybe this woman's an actress too. I don't know. I'll explain what I mean by that. The one who is alleging that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her. I believe all women deserve to be heard, but this interview did not do her any good. I'll explain what that means coming up later. We're talking about the Ahmaud Arbery, as I like to call it, lynching, and it brings me no joy in calling it that, but that's what it was. These 2 white men, these 2 dopes who might as well be Klan members, bring their guns in their truck and chase this poor kid down. He gets scared. He gets into a tussle with the son with the gun, shoots him dead. And now these two have been charged with murder. They're behind bars right now, thank God. I hope they're eating grilled cheese off the radiator the rest of their lives, quite frankly, because they don't deserve any better than that. And we're taking your phone calls. 702-257-5396. We're talking about LeBron James' comment on social media. I thought he was way out of line, saying that every time an African-American steps outside, they're being hunted. Completely ridiculous. Donald Trump's comments, whether it was the first thing out of his mouth or the last thing, saying, well, maybe there's something on the tape that you didn't see, completely inappropriate on his part as well. So both sides, a Democrat and a Republican, one happens to be the president, the other one happens to be the most recognizable athlete on the planet. And we'll get into your calls again, 257-5396. Let's go to Lauren. Lauren, you're first up here on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Lauren?
Yes, I'm the father of 8 children. They're biracial. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm married to an African-American Democrat. I think that some of what LeBron says, I'm not a sports person, I think to a point is accurate. I had, from personal experience where my children have been out with some of their friends, usually, it's a mixture of Caucasian and it's just a mixture. When they if they happen to get stopped by the police,
yep,
the first person they go to, and my son's not driving, is my son is sitting in the back seat and asking him for his ID.
Lauren, can I just jump in here real quick? I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. You know why, Lauren? Because some friends of mine that happen to be African-American, I've even been in the car where they've been pulled over for no reason. I've seen it myself. In no way, shape, or form am I saying I know what it's like to be an African-American. So I agree with you, but here's where LeBron James made the mistake, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. I think I understand what he was trying to say, and that was systemic racism in this country. But he worded it very, very poorly when he says, every time an African-American leaves their house, they're being hunted. I don't want young black kids leaving their house thinking that all white people are going to try to hunt them down every time they leave the house. Is there racism out there? Absolutely. Do you see the distinction that I'm trying to make there? Because I think it's an important one.
I see what you're trying to say, but I think that you'll notice that most parents of black children do sit down and have a conversation with them on how things are out in.
Because you're a responsible father, sir. You sound like a very responsible father. But there, as you know, and LeBron James was one of those kids who grew up with a mom without a dad. There are kids out there without father figures or without parents, for that matter, or good parents, that are going to take every word that LeBron says. Just like people on the right, extremists that support Donald Trump, who, when he tells them to shoot up with disinfectants, some idiots will do that. There's going to be some kids out there that are going to listen to what LeBron says, and they're going to think they're being hunted every time they leave the house. Hopefully you understand where I'm coming from.
I don't believe that they're being hunted. I do believe that I've got another son that's a banker.
Right.
He's walking down the street
right.
down to the gym.
Sure.
Out in the Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be stopped asking him, does he live in this neighborhood?
Okay, but that's harassment, and that could be sure. I understand. I get it, but sir, that's wrong, and I don't support that, and that's certainly you could say that's harassment, but I wouldn't necessarily call it hunting somebody down with guns trying to murder somebody. There's a difference there.
And how many times has it happened to your son?
I'm sorry, sir. What?
I said, how many times has it happened to your son, sir?
It's happened at least 5 times. We live right down the street from a gym. He sits at work all day long.
Well, that's horrible. That's horrible. Listen, Lauren, that's terrible. Lauren, you sound like a great father. Sounds like you're doing a great job with your kids. I wish that didn't. I wish.
My children is one of the 100 most influential black people in America.
Well, that's incredible, and I hope that your son could call in sometime. I'd love to talk to him. But thank you for the phone call and your perspective. I think we agree more than we disagree. That's certainly harassment by the police.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't want that to happen to anybody. But there's a difference between getting harassed by the police officers and asking for an ID and getting hunted down by somebody.
It's harassment predicated on an unnecessary stereotype, but that is not literally someone looking to kill you every single time
there's a
you leave your house.
There's a distinction there. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Robert. Robert, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Robert?
Hey, Hey, gentlemen, good show. I got your show by accident.
It's a great accident. It's kind of like when I accidentally get a. It's kind of like when I accidentally get a woman's number. You know, it usually doesn't happen on purpose.
It happens once every 10 years.
Yeah.
The search feature on the radio.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll be brief because I know there's a lot of folks waiting, and I was patient to wait. All right, real quick.
Thank you.
LeBron James is not an unintelligent man. You were wrong in saying that. His statement was unintelligent, but altogether, he's a very intelligent man, very successful man, and a pretty good actor in that Bill Hader movie. Just saying.
All right, so let me respond to that. You're entitled to that opinion. Let me respond.
What was that called?
I don't know. Who cares? Let me respond to that. I believe Kobe Bryant was an extremely intelligent human being. Kobe Bryant was also raised by two pretty good parents, and he had a much better upbringing. I understand that LeBron James didn't have the upbringing that, say, a Kobe Bryant had. With that being said,
LeBron's tweet was a train wreck.
With that being said, it was a very unintelligent tweet. Now, the reason why I say I don't think LeBron is an extremely intelligent person is not just because of one tweet. I listen to the way he does interviews. I listen to the way he talks to people. And I listen to some of the things he says when it comes to world issues, for example. When it came to that situation in Asia, the NBA situation, he had absolutely zero idea what he was talking about. When it came to the coronavirus situation, I mean, there are things that this man says, it's either one of two things. Either he doesn't do any research and he just spouts off nonsense, or he's not very intelligent. Now, I'm going the not very intelligent route. That's just my opinion.
When he dips his toe in the political world, it doesn't typically go very well.
Well, he's not educated.
But I do think that he is a very, very successful businessman.
Of course he is.
I mean, between his agency with Rich Paul and Maverick Carter and his production company, I mean, he's almost worth $1.5 billion.
Let me take it a step further.
And he's not even 36 years old.
Let me take it a step further. Just because you are successful and have a lot of money doesn't mean you are intelligent. I think that is also a very important distinction.
I totally agree, and you made good points. I will say, though, I'm not bringing up old things. Kobe Bryant, excellent guy, very intelligent, made mistakes. Michael Jordan, excellent guy, made mistakes. So let's look at the mistakes.
I wouldn't say Michael Jordan is an excellent guy. I'd have to disagree with you on that one, sir, with all due respect.
Well, a lot of people look up to him.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not the worst character in sports.
Not the worst character in sports, but
when I was 8 years old, I definitely wanted to be like Mike. I can confirm that.
But I think listen, you're right. Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. There's no question about that.
Get to the point real quick because I know.
Quickly, go ahead.
All right, so you cannot. So somebody steals something from you right from your house, and you have a gun. You cannot pursue them down the street.
Right.
They left. The danger is over.
Exactly.
That's the end of the story.
Correct.
Let's flip the coin over. Let's say these guys were in their driveway, shining up their white pickup truck.
Right.
And the guy took a gun out of the pickup truck, and he was limited to that.
Your phone cut out a little.
Runs into his yard, grabs the gun, and they start tussling.
Totally different animal.
That's different.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree.
No, you make it. No, you're absolutely right. And I got to get to some other callers, but you made some very valid points there. The most important point you made there, and you're absolutely right. First of all, this kid wasn't robbing anybody. He didn't steal anything. That's number one. And even if he was, that doesn't give you the right to you're absolutely right, sir, to chase down somebody and act like a vigilante. You know, you're not Michael Douglas in one of my favorite movies, Falling Down, where you think you can do whatever you want.
This was racially charged, vigilantism. Oh. And then on the other side of it, this man who was a police officer / investigator with the district attorney's office leveraged his personal connections to protect him and his son. And if this video didn't come out, I mean, these guys we wouldn't be having this conversation.
257,
and that has to be kind of scary if you're an African American in this country.
No doubt. 257-5396. I've got some dopes on my Facebook page. I swear to you, you can see it if you don't believe me, that actually think that this murder had nothing to do with race. One of somebody, I don't even really consider him a friend. He's probably listening. I don't care. His name is John. And he goes on my Facebook page, and I said, is it your position that this murder had zero to do with race? He said, yes. And my response was, with all due respect, I think you are literally the dumbest person I've ever spoken to in my life.
Well, you know what? You can't separate the fact that this is a small town in Georgia in the deep South, with actually, if you do some research on this story, with a history of some racial
Yeah,
tensions.
right.
So that alone, this isn't New York City.
Yeah, and in that call twice, I believe the word black man was mentioned specifically.
Yep, no doubt. 257-5396. Let's get back to our busy phone calls. Let's go to Tyra. Tyra, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Tyra?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing
Good.
great.
Thanks for your patience, by the way. What's on your mind?
Well, my name is Tyra, and I'm from Las Vegas, and I am an Afro-American woman. I just want to say that about the LeBron James comment, I think there's a such thing as not being able to articulate yourself correctly on
Sure.
certain platforms.
Sure.
You could be a great basketball player or whatnot, but when you step into the arena of politics and other things like that,
Right.
I think that you ought to have a person that's like, what do you call it, a PR type person?
Right,
to
right.
articulate it. Because if you don't, it will come off funny.
Tyra, that is such a good point. I want to allow you to make your second point, but I just want to say I agree with you 100%. LeBron James, I'm sure you would agree, has a huge platform. And with that type of platform, maybe somebody should proofread his stuff. I think I understand where he was coming from, but boy, did he poorly word this. So I just wanted to say, I agree with you. I think it's his responsibility to word things in a more
By the
professional
way,
manner.
he has 46 million
Yeah.
followers on
Yeah.
Twitter. That's only
Yeah.
12 million less than the president.
So go ahead, Tyra. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say I agree with you on that point. It's a very good point.
And with that comes along with this. I think that with the wording, he did a generalization maybe that we do because, like I said, I've been in neighborhoods and grown up that type of way, and I have seen those types of things happen with
Sure.
the inequalities.
Sure. No, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt
I
that.
think that, but
No.
I think that him saying all, I get it that he doesn't mean all, but that's just me from my standpoint. I get that. But
Right.
people that haven't experienced that, they won't get it, and they're going to take it literally. And he does have a responsibility because now you're on a platform.
Exactly.
You're not hanging out
Right.
in the basement with your homies.
Yeah.
You're on a platform, and I think that he made a misstep, and a lot of people have made missteps. I hope he can learn from this.
No question.
I really don't think he meant that.
Listen, the anger, Tyra, you make some great points there. By the way, the anger that I have is not for LeBron James. Make no mistake about it. The anger that I have, and I've been livid the last 2 days, are these two dopes, these murderers, these Klan members who hunted this kid down and murdered him. That is where all my anger is. I just want LeBron to be a little bit more responsible. Yeah.
And you have to have some anger towards the police officers and the higher ups
No question.
in that particular city that were willing
This is
to
a
cover
cover-up.
that were willing to cover it up, and they need to be held accountable
Yeah,
as well.
This is a cover-up, and I hope they are held accountable. I agree with you. 257-5396. Let's go to Rob. Thank you for the call, Tyra, by the way. That was a fantastic
good-
call.
great call, Tyra.
Let's go to Rob. Rob, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Rob?
First of all, I started watching your show about the last week, and I really enjoy it.
Well, thank you. We appreciate
thank
that,
you.
Rob. Thank you.
And there's two main points I want to make. First of all, I'm a 63-year-old Hispanic male, and first thing I want to mention is that when we see these cases, they always seem to be black people who are being, they're in the news all the time about these types of profilings and incidents, but it happens a lot to other people of color, Hispanics a lot, that doesn't ever get mentioned. I'm going to give you a quick description of some of my experiences in my lifetime,
Sure.
and then I'll tie it back to how that whole thing went down as far as what happened when they started fighting and the police and everything
Yeah,
like that.
with Arbery. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I was living in South Texas at the time, taking care of my dad, who was elderly and ill, and I used to go over I'm a professional gambler, so I used to go over to the Gulf Coast casinos in Louisiana and Mississippi with
Yep.
Texas plates. I used to drive over there.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, in about maybe a 1 month period, I got pulled over 6 times on that interstate going between Biloxi and over there in I think Bay St. Louis over there. And I got pulled over 6 times, and every time they pulled me over,
Oh, no.
you were zigzagging. One time they even said, that little keyhole in the back was
Yeah.
to the side, and the keyhole was closed. And
Can I just say this? I want to say this to your point, and then I want you to continue. There is no question. It's not just African Americans. I want to be clear on that. And if I didn't, minorities. Let's just put it all in there. Minorities in general, in my personal opinion, at times are treated differently by law enforcement and by there's no question. So
Yeah, that can't be denied.
I include you in that, sir. And I am very sorry that you've had to go through that. Go ahead.
So, and just I'll give you another one quick example. I was driving from South Texas up to Chicago because I had family up there. In the course of within 8 hours, driving through Oklahoma, I got pulled over 3 times.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And I will say this, that could be a byproduct of the police forces having quotas. I mean, keep in mind that some of these smaller cities and some of these smaller towns, they are more likely to pull you over if your license plate is out of state, and if they're looking to give you a speeding ticket. For example, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, and in Omaha, Nebraska, there was basically for every DUI that was issued, lawyers, police officers, there was a mutual compensation plan involved, and so no matter what race you were in Omaha, Nebraska, and this is the number 2 bars per capita in the country. But if they think that if you are driving drunk, I mean, if they have any possible inclination, they will pull you over, and you have to factor that in as well when you have this conversation.
No question. I appreciate your call, Rob. Unfortunately, busy phone lines. We want to get to as many people as possible.
Yeah, good call, Rob.
A couple phone lines open at 257-5396. Let's go to Jim. Jim, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Jim?
Brian and JD, this is Jim. I was just calling to say hi. I really appreciate your guys' show during these crazy times, and at least it provides some normalcy out here while we're trying to work away here in the sports world.
I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
Thanks for calling in. I appreciate that. I guess now that we have you on the line, if you don't know who Jim Gemma is the longtime media relations communications of all of our AAA baseball here in Las Vegas. We certainly don't have any of that going on right now, that's for sure. But Jim, do you have any thoughts on this discussion about racial injustice and LeBron James' comments? I'm sure you have an opinion on it.
Well, I'm a huge Lakers fan. Obviously, my favorite player was Kobe Bryant, and LeBron, as you said, has such a platform. And what he says, like JD was saying, a lot of young kids or kids growing up, how that is. You idolize players. You'll take it for exactly what he says. So it's a very unfortunate situation, and just this racism issue just keeps going on in society. It's really sad.
It really is sad. I'll tell you something else that's sad. I certainly don't want to correlate a young African-American man getting murdered to watching baseball. But, now that we have you on the line, I mean, what have you heard? What do you think is going to happen with Major League Baseball? When do you think we'll see live baseball? I mean, I was stuck the other day watching the Korean Baseball League. I had nothing else to watch. I mean, what do you think about
this?
But
you did make a $1,200 wager on it.
Wager on KIA Tigers. My good friend Matt Williams is the manager there this year. He was with the A's, of course, up to this year. But I know Major League Baseball, they're shooting for July 1st, going to spring training next month. Now, what that's going to entail for the minor leagues, that's a whole different story for another day. But it looks like there's a good chance that they're going to take a shot at July 1st. I know the medical staff of MLB will probably administer the test. I don't know if there's a way to purchase the test. That way, I mean, because that's people would really get upset. Why is this guy getting tested? I think their medical staffs would take care of that. But it's a tough situation, but we really do need to get sports back.
Let's say hypothetically, wild situation here, that NFL is canceled and Major League Baseball goes on July 1st and minor leagues included. Does Kyler Murray end up suiting up for the minor league affiliate?
That would be great. The A's still have rights to him. He's a great quarterback. I mean, I don't know if you've watched any video of him. Make a long story short, when he played college baseball for Oklahoma, he's a heck of a prospect.
Unbelievable, yeah.
He's doing great for the Cardinals, but we'll see how this all plays out.
Yep.
I know MLB is looking to shoot for a July 1st date, so we'll see how that works out.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you, my man. You're one of the best in this town at what you do, and glad that you're here. Keep up the great work, my friend, and we'll talk to you soon, okay? Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jim.
Did we lose Jim? We lost Jim.
We lost Jim.
We lost Jim on his AAA cell phone. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Obviously, we've been talking about the Ahmaud Arbery situation. This poor young man, 25 years old, hunted down by 2 white males who I think are animals, who decided to chase him down in their pickup truck with their car. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Well, their only reasoning that I've heard so far is that they think they saw him looking through a house that was under construction.
And you know what? They're charged with murder, one. Both of them are, as well as aggravated assault. Their lives are both over. let's be honest. There's a very strong chance that they're going to be convicted of this crime, and they will either spend the rest of their lives, behind bars, and it's possible that they could each receive, or one of which, or maybe the son could receive capital punishment. That is possible.
I think what you're going to see now that these men have been arrested and now that they're facing charges, and I think what you are going to see are defenders on their side. And I think what you're going to find,
probably will.
Very much like the Trayvon Martin, you're going to hear stories that this kid was a criminal. You're going to say that the picture of him in a tuxedo was him at his best, and that someone's going to show other photos maybe where he's looks a little bit more menacing. And I think that all that's going to come out, and so it's going to be a wild ride, right?
He had like a $2 billion smile. How could that guy look menacing?
Right. Oh, he was just jogging.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Former athlete, 25 years old.
So there will be smears on
if that stuff pops up, I hope it's slapped down immediately. I hope it gets no coverage whatsoever.
And I don't like it when people, this is a part where I think African Americans make a very big mistake when they compare this to the Zimmerman situation, when they compare this to the Michael Brown situation in Ferguson. Stop comparing this shooting to other shootings. These are different circumstances, and I am not defending George Zimmerman, but these are different circumstances. This is a totally different scenario than what happened to an extent with the George Zimmerman situation. These guys were in their pickup trucks chasing him down while George Zimmerman made a huge mistake in following Trayvon Martin. These are different. This is a totally different circumstance.
Well, Zimmerman did not have his gun drawn.
Right.
Zimmerman was not walking through the apartment
That's
complex
a very valid point. He just had it on him.
Everything that we know, he pulled out his gun at the very last minute and shot him in what he said was self-defense.
Which I believe was.
Whereas these guys already had the guns out
right
as they were chasing him.
And it is the element, this is where they do have something in common, the element that George Zimmerman felt like he was a police officer, and then you have this father who was a police officer, an investigator, who somehow delusionally, and by the way, police officers would not have reacted in the same way. A good cop would not have done what these two idiots did. It is my personal opinion. I'm a little surprised that they were charged with murder. There is so much pressure on this case. To me, this is Trayvon Martin Zimmerman times 5. There is so much pressure on this case. I will be shocked if they don't spend the next 20 to 30 years behind bars.
And in this case, it's very clear. It's clear cut. This to me was murder one, and the fact that again you had police officers, you had higher ups in the district attorney's office in that particular the Brunswick, the town of 17,000, but they made a conscious effort to cover all of it up.
But you're gonna have a small town jury. All right, that probably, unless they move the case.
There's no way they can try this in Brunswick.
They might not trace it in that county.
There's no way.
But you're going to have still, unless they move it to Atlanta or something like that, you're going to have some people that probably are going to have some sympathy for the father and son. That's the first thing. And the other thing is you have to wonder if these prosecutors will have overreached by charging him with premeditated first-degree murder. That could be hard to prove. That could be hard to prove. I'm not saying it's not first-degree murder.
Getting in a truck
that can be difficult in the courtroom.
With a drawn shotgun and a drawn gun, chasing someone down when you're not law enforcement, making up a story, having someone corroborate that story and lie to your victim's parent. Whether there was a scuffle or not, if I was running down the street and someone pulled up besides me with a gun or two guns, and it was two people against one, and say there was a tree behind me, and you got to keep in mind, what was he supposed to do? Any single person in that situation is going to fight for their life and do whatever they can. And at that point, just because if you pull up on me and I don't want to die, and I try to take the gun out of your hands, if not kill you because you're trying to kill me, then you don't have the right to kill me. If you kill me, it's still on you for pursuing me in the first place. There's no excuse. There's no counter argument for self-defense under those circumstances, and that's why I believe it's clear-cut murder one. And these guys, Brian's right. I hope they spend the rest of their lives in jail, not just 20 to 25 years.
All right, so moving on, a very interesting and controversial guest we have coming up here in just a few minutes. His name is Jacob Wohl. He's known by many as Trump's dirty little trickster. What do I mean by that? Well, he's latest smear campaign, which is what I would call it, and we're going to talk to him about this. Apparently, he paid a woman to say that Dr. Fauci sexually assaulted her. Now, she's come forward saying that he paid her. This isn't the first time he's done this. It was one of the highest trending stories on Twitter yesterday. That man coming on our show next, his name is Jacob Wohl. It's going to be an interesting conversation. I promise you that. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this with Jacob Wohl. It's the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
When we adopted Buddy, we didn't know that he has to eat sitting up, so that just put him down. DINOVITE.com. I heard about Dynamite and started mixing it in with his food. He's happy, he's healthy, and he's going to be with me for a long time because of Dynamite. I love my dog. I want him happy and healthy, so I give him Dynamite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynamite from DINOVITE.com.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Member of the Vice President's team who is positive for coronavirus.
The latest from White House correspondent Bob Costantini.
Reporters traveling with the Vice President to Iowa say the flight was delayed by about an hour and some staffers got off the plane and did not return while holding at Andrews Air Base. That was apparently related to concerns about some staffers who'd come in contact with another staff member who tested positive but was not actually on the plane. The Des Moines trip is for Mr. Pence to talk with religious leaders about safely returning to worship services. The announcement comes one day after the revelation that a presidential valet tested positive. President Trump says he and the vice president will be tested daily. Bob Costantini, Washington.
Trump is again raising the projected death toll from the virus. He now says U.S. deaths could go to 95,000 or more. A crushing jobs report for April, unemployment soaring to 14.7%. I'm Mike Moss. Senate Republicans are hesitant about another round of individual stimulus checks in the next relief package. Correspondent Linda Kenyon with the latest.
The $2.2 trillion coronavirus stimulus bill that became law at the end of March mandated one-time payments of $1,200 for people making up to $75,000 a year. Many Senate Republicans aren't sold on the need for another round, even as Democrats and the White House have signaled support. South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, for example, says the focus should instead be on reopening the economy. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is calling for a pause to see how previous coronavirus money is working before spending more. Linda Kenyon, Washington.
Bob Dylan is releasing his first album of new music in 8 years, following a spurt of creativity from the man regarded as one of the world's most influential songwriters. Rough and Rowdy Ways is due to be released in June. The Dow up 294 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Cheyenne Avenue closed westbound west of Las Vegas Boulevard for an ongoing accident investigation. Use an alternate to skirt the closure like Cary or Gowan instead. And also a minor crash reported on Buffalo just north of Lake Mead Boulevard. Police with the scene expect slowing, but traffic is getting by. No delays to report. I-15 north and south between the Southern Beltway and Spaghetti Bowl. Need to manage a changing workforce? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Find a location near you at ExpressPros.com. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
Sometimes you hear an idea or learn about a company and say, finally, it's about time. That's what I said when I met the team at Homey. With Homey, you get a local real estate expert and everything you expect with a traditional agent. Everything except those high fees and commissions. Homey sellers save $10,000 on average. Finally,
you can buy and sell confidently and save thousands in good times and bad. Check out homey.com or just text JD to 88588 to receive $250 off your listing fee. Homey sellers save $10,000 on average, and if you're buying a home, you'll save even more. Remember, you still get a 5-star experience with your local Homey agent and an easy-to-use app, all without the crazy commissions. Text JD to 88588 to receive $250 off your listing fee. Again, text JD to 88588. Finally, you can buy and sell confidently and save thousands in good times and bad. Homey's got your back.
These are unprecedented times, which are causing a lot of stress and financial worry for millions of Americans. But here's some good news. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, Optima Tax Relief can reduce the stress in your life by helping you resolve your tax debt right from the safety of your own home. Make no mistake, you don't want to owe the IRS right now. They can take your paycheck and everything you work so hard for. But with Optima on your side, you may qualify for help that saves you thousands. Their tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and has resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for taxpayers across the nation. So now's the time. For tax help you need, for tax help you trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-709-6011. That's 800-709-6011. 800-709-6011.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a Friday. So glad you could join us. If you were on Twitter for a good amount of the day yesterday, you noticed the name Jacob Wohl. It was one of the highest, I guess you could say, trending stories on social media. Well, what we're talking about is Jacob Wohl. We've had him on the show before. He is attempted to frame Robert Mueller, Elizabeth Warren, and others for sexual misconduct. The same done with Dr. Fauci. And now a woman came forward who claimed that Dr. Fauci sexually assaulted her. She just came forward and said that Jacob Wohl paid her to lie. Now, if you still don't know who I'm talking about, we have a little piece of audio to play for you. This was a Marine that claimed he was hired to have rough sex with Elizabeth Warren. Both Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman held a press conference last fall. Have a listen to this.
I complied with the instructions of my new client despite being rather nervous. I had to spend time with an older woman many times before, but never a woman over 60. Although I was unaware of it at the time, Senator Warren wanted not just rough sex, but extensive BDSM play.
All right. Well, the man
Very
the man that was responsible for putting that whole press conference together, none other than Jacob Wohl, joining us right now on the line. Jacob, I appreciate you coming on. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Jacob?
Jacob, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, guys, and it's great to join you on the show. And also with me, I thought it would be great. I have Jack Berkman as well, and I have Diana, the girl who yesterday blew the whistle. She joins us here on the phone as well.
Okay, well,
Hello, guys. Nice to meet you. This is Jack.
Hey,
yeah,
what's up,
hi, Jack. Thanks for coming on. All right. Diana, I appreciate you coming on. I guess I will start with you. All the reports came out yesterday that you claim that you were paid by Jacob Wohl to lie and say that Dr. Fauci sexually assaulted you. Why did you say that, and what can you tell us about it?
Yes, and I regret it, but there's something that they have wrong. I see all these articles, and it's, someone close to me, kind of said why I claimed in the first place that Dr. Fauci assaulted me, but I never did that. I was on a conference call, and there were all these reporters, and I was supposed to read a script, and I did not do it. I just said I fell asleep, so I did not claim, whatever I was supposed to read.
So you're claiming that this. So you're claiming. I want to be clear. You're claiming that this sexual assault did happen, and somebody misquoted you in saying that you were told to lie and paid off. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I was told to. I'm not sure who sent what I was supposed to say on the press conference, but I did not say exactly what was sent out before.
Okay, so why don't you tell us what happened then? You're claiming that this is a very serious accusation. You're claiming that Dr. Fauci, who is a well-respected man by most people, I think that's very fair to say, you're saying that he sexually assaulted you. Why don't you tell the listeners what happened?
No, I did not say this.
What do you mean?
I did not say this, and this didn't happen.
So you were not sexually assaulted?
No.
So how are you connected to Jacob Wohl then and Jack Berkman? I'm completely confused because all the reports that came out in the last several days.
I'm also mildly perplexed.
All the reports that came out yesterday are claiming that you were told that you were paid to smear Dr. Fauci, and now you're telling me that this sexual assault never happened in the first place. So I'm extremely confused. What's the truth here?
I was paid to lie, but I didn't lie.
So who paid you to lie?
I'm not sure.
Well, guys, hold, no. I'll let you jump in a second. Hold on a second, Jack. Hang on a second. You're telling me.
She said that
hold on a second.
She took
JD,
the money.
JD,
she took the money and didn't follow through with the agreement.
You got to let me. Ma'am, with all due respect, you're telling me you were told to lie, and you can't tell us on live radio now who told you to lie? Ma'am, that makes no sense. You're losing credibility by the second.
Told me to lie.
Yeah.
Jacob told me to lie.
Okay, so what did Jacob tell you to say?
A script that I got, and I didn't follow it.
A script? Did that script say to tell you to attack Dr. Fauci?
Yes.
Okay, so we're all on the same page now. That was very simple. Jacob, you have a late.
Let me. I'm gonna get a word in here. Let me say this, guys. Look.
Yeah, this is Jack, right?
This doesn't end with us. This is Jack Berkman.
Okay.
Jacob, I'll let Jacob speak in a second. This doesn't end with us. I'll be honest with you. I'm tired of taking the heat for the White House.
This has nothing to do with the White House. Without
orders. Let me tell you what we're not going to do, and I want to be very clear with your listeners. We're not going to have a situation where Jacob and I are hung out to dry by the president.
This has nothing to do with the president. I haven't brought, sir, Jack, with all due respect, Jack, with all due respect, I have not brought up the White House. I have not brought up the president. You have a woman on the line that is claiming that Jacob Wohl told her to lie, gave her a script to attack Dr. Fauci. Okay, that is a serious thing. Okay, and with all due respect,
it doesn't end with Jacob.
I don't care where it doesn't end. It's where it starts, and that's what I'm focusing on right now. So I want to go to Jacob right now. Jacob, that is a serious accusation. You are no stranger to trying to frame people. Robert Mueller, Elizabeth Warren, I can go on and on. You also said that Joe Biden, in a health smear, saying that the vice president tested positive for the virus. That was not true. You said he would die in 30 days. Now you have a woman, hold on, now you have a woman on the line right now. You heard it yourself, who says you told her to lie and you paid her to smear Dr. Fauci. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, she did not say that I paid her.
She just said that. That's not true. She just said that. Jacob, with all due respect, she just said you told her to lie. Okay, well, let's ask her then. Who paid you? Who paid you? Ma'am, with all due respect, who paid you?
I didn't know the guy. He came somewhere and.
Okay, but you brought up Jacob's name. Okay, but you brought up Jacob's name. You specifically just said that Jacob told you to lie. He gave you a script.
Yeah, Jacob told me to lie.
Okay, Jacob, why are you telling her to lie?
Well, I disagree with her characterization, and I will tell you that.
What do you mean you disagree with the characterization? Either you told.
From from the very beginning, we're concerned with the truth.
Either
Only the truth.
she just said you told her to lie. Jacob, I like you. Okay,
and Brian, keep in mind that Jack alluded to the fact that they are following marching orders as well.
Listen,
That they're being told to tell someone else to do something based on apparently someone as high as the President of the United States.
Listen, Jacob, look, you're a funny guy. You're well-spoken. I appreciate you guys coming on. Can we just own up to this and just be honest? She just said you told her to lie. What do you mean you don't agree with her mischaracterization? She just said, quote, Jacob Wohl told me to lie. Why can't you own up to anything? Why don't you own up to that?
Well, I think what you have to understand is that when somebody brings forth an accusation, it's a very serious thing. It's something that I take very seriously. I know it's something that Jack takes very seriously, whether it's against a high-profile person or whether it's, Jack performing legal work and it's against somebody you've never heard of. It's a very serious thing. And when somebody gets on a conference call and gives a press conference and makes that accusation, I think the responsibility for that accusation rests with them and with them alone, whether it's Tara Reid, whether it's Diana here on the phone with us, or anyone else.
Okay, well, this woman is claiming the
accusation lies with them.
Okay, well, this woman is claiming that you told her to lie. So are you categorically denying that? Because now she's saying that Fauci did not sexually assault her. So which one is it, Jacob? Who's lying here?
I've never instructed anyone to be mistruthful in the course of a press conference, a media interview, or any other.
I didn't say in the course of a press conference or a media interview. Did you tell her to lie in just general terms? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so let me bring her back on now. Jacob Wohl just said he never told you to lie. Is he lying?
Yes, he told me to say something from a script, and I didn't.
Okay, so obviously there's somebody lying here. I don't know who this lady is. She sounds like a very nice lady, okay? Jacob, let's be honest here. You have a history, okay? And I think I'm not trying to smear you here, but you've tried to smear a lot of others. The Elizabeth Warren stuff, the Robert Mueller stuff. You are going to court in 2 weeks on a felony charge, okay? I think it's fair to say you're not the most credible person on the planet, with all due respect. I believe her. Again, why can't you just own up to? I don't understand that. Why can't you just say, you know what? I had a conversation with her. I gave her a script. I told her to lie, and then we can move on and talk about other things. Why can't you be a man and admit that?
I don't think, this comes from Jacob. I've known him actually from the beginning of 2017, and I've seen him change. This is not who he is. I'm pretty sure he's taking orders from somebody else.
Okay, but I understand. I appreciate that.
Diana, have you ever met Anthony Fauci?
What?
Have you ever met Dr. Fauci, JD is asking?
No.
You haven't. Okay. As far as who okay, fair enough. So as far as who Jacob Wohl is, and Jacob, I'll let you respond to this, and I'll let you try to defend yourself here, but I disagree with her assessment of you. Again, you've tried to frame Robert Mueller. You've tried to make Elizabeth Warren out to be this bondage cheater on her husband, which I thought was ridiculous. In that press conference, the Marine was laughing in part of the press conference. It was obvious he was having a good time with it, not telling the truth. You've tried to attack others for sexual misconduct. A lot of people.
I think he was reminiscing on
people,
positive experiences.
A lot of people call you Trump's dirty little trickster. Your father is on social media every day defending the president. Odds end. I don't think he's ever attacked the president for anything before. I know that Jack is on the line. I think you lose a lot of credibility when you fail to criticize the president for anything. And for the most part, I know you've gone after a few Republicans, but for the most part, you attack Democrats. And what about this Joe Biden thing, where you tried to smear him saying he tested positive for coronavirus and that he would die in 30 days? Can you admit that was a lie?
Well, here's what I would say. First of all, I've been very critical of the president's response to the pandemic on my show on censored.tv, Man Up with Jacob Wohl. I've been very critical of the president's response, perhaps more critical than anyone on the right. So I've been very critical of the president in certain instances. That's the first thing I would say. Now, as it relates to Joe Biden, everyone knows that Joe Biden is a very sick man.
That doesn't mean he has coronavirus. No, don't play that game. Listen, you said he had coronavirus and he was going to die in 30 days. Saying that you believe he's sick and saying he has the coronavirus and he's going to die in 30 days are two completely different things. That's what you said. You need to own it and admit you were wrong. Can you do that on this show?
Well, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to reflect what the prognosis.
So if you're a doctor, then why are you saying he's sick? If you're a doctor, with all due respect, then why? Who is it for you to say if you think he's sick,
Brian,
Jacob?
Joe Biden struggles to make it through a basic sentence.
I thought you weren't a doctor, so now.
Be in assisted living.
So he's going to die within 30 days.
He did actually fall asleep. In all fairness, he did fall asleep in an interview with.
Did we lose somebody? Did we lose somebody on the line?
Who did we lose? Which one?
All three, huh?
Yeah, what a shocker. What a shocker. What a shocker.
Could you recap that for everybody who just may be tuning in?
All right, so
that is making my head spin.
That was one of the most wild interviews we've ever had.
Okay, let me just explain this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we had two of the most right-wing, I guess you could call, like I said, we had Trump's dirty little trickster on the line.
We did.
They're cowards. They hung up on us. We had a woman who claimed that she was sexually assaulted by Dr. Fauci, okay? We believe Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman paid her to try to attack Dr. Fauci. In return, okay, she was on the line. We didn't know she was going to be on the line. I think this interview backfired on them.
So she made the allegation. She claimed that when she was 14 years old, Fauci sexually assaulted her.
Right.
Correct.
Then she contacted a reporter from Reason Magazine and said, I take it all back. It never happened. In fact, I was paid by Jack Berkman and Jacob Wohl to lie about that.
Right.
Then, surprisingly, she showed up on our air with Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman and said what? She said, now that story about me being paid is a lie.
I'm going to tell you.
And then a minute later said, Jacob told her to lie.
And I don't know who paid me. It was a man. I'm not sure who paid me. By the way, I've never met Anthony Fauci in my life. But I wish I had met Anthony Fauci.
Guys, you don't have to be that smart to figure out what just happened here. Our interview just backfired on them.
Are you sure?
They just got caught.
I feel like it was a setup.
No.
No. But
back if you want him.
All right.
Okay,
well, we have Jacob on the line. I don't know why Jack Berkman and this woman are not on the line. Jacob, do you know why they hung up?
No, we're right here too.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate you guys being back on. Jacob, you were, listen, did you expect this woman to come on the line right now and basically call you a liar? Because that's what she just did.
Well, I don't know if that's what she said, but
wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Jacob, I'm sorry to interrupt you. See, when you say stuff like that, you lose credibility. She just called you a liar 5 minutes ago. She just said, quote, Jacob told me to lie. And then you say, well, I don't know if that's what she said. I'm sorry, I have to hold you to account. That's exactly what she said. Why can't you answer a direct question? She just called you a liar. You have nothing to say for yourself.
Like I said, I don't agree with that characterization. I don't think that's really what she said.
That's exactly what she said. What are you
doing?
All right.
This really goes much deeper. This goes much deeper than people want to admit.
Right.
They want it to be very simple, and unfortunately, it's just not.
Okay, so what she was saying basically is that she doesn't think that you actually wanted her to lie, despite the fact that you did tell her to lie, but that you were telling her to lie based on orders from somebody else. Who could those orders possibly be from, Jacob?
Guys, look, I can tell you this. Go ahead, Jake. Go right ahead.
No, go ahead, Jack. I mean, I don't know.
I was just going to say, guys, look. Here's what I'm going to say to that, and I'll say it once and I'll say it again.
Okay.
We have taken enough heat on this issue. We've taken the heat on many issues for the White House. Jacob and I will not take any further heat for the White House on this issue. As journalists, my recommendation to you, if you want clarification, put these questions to the White House press secretary.
This has nothing to do with. This has nothing.
Staff, Mark Meadows, or put
Jack.
these questions to the president.
Well, no, I mean, Brian, you realize what Jack is saying here? Jack is saying that the White House is using Jacob and Jack to get things done, like potentially have a woman accuse Anthony Fauci of sexually assaulting her at 14 years old. Jack and Jacob are saying that this is coming from the White House, Brian.
So, Jack, is that true? You are saying that somebody in Donald Trump's administration have told you and Jacob Wohl to do Donald Trump's dirty work and to pay off a woman to lie.
What I can say to you, and I'll say what I can say about this as a lawyer, and that's all I'm going to say.
And I can appreciate that, Jack. Absolutely.
Good show, but I will say
Thank you.
Again. You need to put all of those questions to the president, the chief of staff.
Why can't I just ask you? You're involved in this.
I'm unable to say any more about it for legal reasons, reasons of confidence, and reasons of privilege.
All right, so let me ask you a question then. No, let me ask, okay, Jack, that's fine. Let me ask you another question then. If anybody, not even the White House, anybody tells you to do dirty work for somebody and try to smear somebody, I'm just speaking in general terms right now, not the White House, and tells you to try to ruin somebody's credibility, when you guys both know Dr. Fauci is not a sexual assaulter. You guys know that. You guys are too smart. I know you know that. When somebody tells you to ruin somebody's credibility, I don't care if it's coming from the White House or if it's coming from a 16-year-old kid. Why would you guys be a part of that? It's a very simple question, Jack.
Yeah, we're in a situation here where people need to understand. Dr. Fauci has shut down the country.
That has nothing to do with sexual assault. That has nothing to do with. That has zero to do with sexual assault.
No,
That we know of. That guy put 60 million people. There could be 60 million people out of work, 40 that we know of. And I'll tell you something else. A third of America can't pay their rent.
Okay, you're talking about. Excuse me. No, I'm not going to let you get away with that. You're talking about policy. You're talking about policy. I'm talking about smearing. If you disagree with Fauci,
I do
hold
agree
on
with
a second.
with overreaction.
I'm talking about people that are starving. I'm talking about people that can't.
No, you're talking about. Then you better talk to. Then you should talk to Donald Trump about that because these are his own. No, these are Donald Trump's own policies.
Let me tell you something. This operation was the right thing to do. The president ordered it, but you have to put those questions to him, not us. That's all I can tell you.
I'm not even okay. I understand that, but my question still stands. You're talking about Dr. Fauci and you're talking about the coronavirus. We're talking about paying someone off to lie about sexual assault. How do you not understand that you lose credibility when we're talking about these types of issues? This isn't the first time you and Jacob have done this. You've gone after Mueller.
We should talk about Gloria Allred.
What does that see? That's called whataboutism. I hate it when you guys do that. I'm specifically talking about what you guys have been responsible for. This has nothing to do with Gloria Allred. This has nothing to do with the policies of Dr. Fauci or how you disagree with them. And it has everything to do with the fact that you guys put out these types of conspiracy theories out there with no facts to back it up. You pay people off to smear Democrats, and I think it's disgusting. Why won't you own up to that? Why won't you be a man instead of saying, well, you're going to have to talk to the White House? With all due respect, Mr. Berkman, that's not being a man. Own up to what you have done, admit that you guys are liars, and that you smear Democrats on a regular basis. You have a woman that was on the line right now. It backfired right in your face. She basically called Jacob a liar. That's exactly what she said. Why can't you own up to anything?
Well, we wouldn't smear. We're not in the business of smearing.
Yeah, sure you're not. Sure. Yeah, sure. Sure you're not. So saying that Fauci has committed sexual assault and saying that that Elizabeth Warren is into bondage and saying that Joe Biden is going to die within 30 days, we're all have been proven not factually accurate. You're right. That has absolutely nothing to do with smearing. Are you kidding me?
I mean, Brian, Joe Biden has not been seen in public. He has not been seen in public in 3 months.
The Democrat of anything. I've had situations where people come forward and they make accusations and they were in the right place at the right time and things happened to them.
So if somebody came forward to me, if somebody knocked on my door right now and said Jack Berkman is a pedophile and Jacob will molest little children, you'd have no problem with me putting that all over the place. No problem with that at all.
Well, you'd have to make a determination about that, but nobody would ever do that. That's the point.
What do you mean nobody would ever do that? That's exactly what you guys are doing.
Very creepy bunch of people. We're dealing with Joe Biden, who's been groping children for decades.
He has never groped. Excuse me. You're trying to. I understand you want to defend your accusations, but it's not going to work. Okay. And by the way, how come you haven't talked about? Excuse me. Okay, fair enough. There's audio of Donald Trump talking about bragging about sexual assault. Would you like to talk about that, or would you like to talk about the 25? Excuse me, I'm not done yet. How about the 25? How about the 25 women that have come forward that have accused Donald Trump of either sexual assault or rape? Have you talked about that, Mr. Berkman?
There's no evidence behind those.
Oh, really? So there's no evidence behind that. His own ex-wife said that he raped her. There's no evidence. There are court documents, but yet you want to talk about Joe Biden being the sexual assaulter. Do you understand the bias, Mr. Berkman? If you want to talk about Joe Biden, you better be consistent.
I think we may have lost Jack, guys.
Well,
all right. Yeah, Jacob, you said you have an issue with the way that Donald Trump has handled the pandemic. What's your issue with that specifically?
Well, you can't shut down the whole country. Everyone knows that. And I think, he did this under tremendous pressure. But you can't shut down the country. The shutdown is killing people in far greater numbers than is the pandemic, and it will continue to. Korea didn't shut down. China didn't shut down. Sweden didn't shut down. They all saw unfortunate but very manageable consequences as a result of that, and we should have followed suit. Instead, we shut down the entire country. You have tens of millions of people out of work, the worst economy since the Great Depression, and it's only going to get worse from here. You don't just flip the switch and turn it back on.
All right. Well, listen, Jacob, I mean this sincerely. I do appreciate you guys coming on. I do appreciate you answering my questions, even though I wasn't happy with some of your answers.
Brian, we just had 5 people on the phone at once.
Yeah, well, that was a lot.
That's a record for us.
Listen, Jacob, I mean what I say. I think you're a smart guy. At times funny, entertaining, but I think you're also hurting people in the process. But listen, we'll take it for what it is. I appreciate you coming on our show, and I hope that you're not paying anybody off or telling anybody to lie in the future, because I don't think that's the right way to go, my man. But I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Always great to join you.
All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jacob.
That's Donald Trump's dirty little trickster, Jacob Wohl. I don't think that interview went as well as they would have hoped. I think it backfired on them. They actually had the woman on that claimed that Fauci sexually assaulted her, and then she basically just called Jacob Wohl. Well, not basically. She did. She called Jacob Wohl a liar right on the show. We'll let you decide.
But she also indicated that Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman are working for someone else, and Jack Berkman just literally said that the White House, that Donald Trump ordered because of what Anthony Fauci, because of what's happened with the economy, and the fact that
I don't believe
everything
that.
is shut. Well, but he just said that that the White House ordered a smear campaign on Anthony Fauci.
I don't care what.
And as his dirty little tricksters, they went through it and they actually tried to make.
Well, it's very interesting when he brings up Joe Biden and he thinks Joe Biden's a sexual assaulter. I bring up the 25 women that have come forward against Donald Trump, and then he hangs up the phone. Zero credibility. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
My head literally hurts. That was wild. My head hurts.
Dude, that was.
Says this month's figures may be even worse.
I think that already just looking at the claims we've had since they did the survey that this data comes from, we've probably added about another 4 or 5% to the unemployment rate. And so probably the next number will be a little bit higher than this.
Hard-hit New Jersey continues to battle the coronavirus. Governor Phil Murphy says the state is starting to see some improvement.
We've made a lot of progress, but we're not out of the woods. So our hospitalizations are down, ICU beds are down, ventilator use is down. The heat maps that we look at by county are all dramatically better than they were a couple of weeks ago.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gaining 353 points. I'm Ann Cates.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. Cheyenne Avenue still closed westbound west of Las Vegas Boulevard near Community College Drive. This is for an ongoing accident investigation. In the meantime, use an alternate route to get around the closure. You could use Cary or Gowan instead. And an investigation continues at Desert Inn Road with a closure eastbound Desert Inn between Maryland Parkway and Eastern Avenue. Use Sahara or Paradise instead. Pros, Lowe's is open and pro-ready with the supplies you need to make repairs during this important time. I'm John Michaels from the KDAWN Traffic Center.
Please listen. This is important. Anyone can be affected by the prescription opioid crisis. If you think you've been hurt by Purdue or its prescription opioids like OxyContin, you may be entitled to compensation as part of Purdue's bankruptcy, but you have to file a claim. Claims may include overdose, death, substance use disorder, lost wages, and neonatal abstinence syndrome. A confidential claim can be filed by individuals, a legal guardian, by survivors or relatives of people who have died or are disabled. The deadline to file a claim is June 30th, 2020, or you will lose your right to file a claim. For more information, visit PurduePharmaClaims.com, or you can call toll-free 1-844-217-0912. That's 1-844-217-0912. Paid for by Prime Clerk, LLC.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
More lawyer, less fee.
I'm attorney Paul Powell. Have you been injured in a crash? Do you want to win your case? Do you want the insurance companies saying,
It's Paul Powell
Of course you do. I've spent almost 20 years helping injury victims get paid, and I for sure can help you.
If you're tired of greedy lawyers, call 728-5500 or go to paulpowell.com.
I really can help.
Paul Powell. More lawyer, less fee.
Some restrictions apply.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
With McDelivery, McDonald's comes to you. Wherever you live, your home is now at McDonald's. Order your favorites today on Uber Eats or DoorDash. Prices may be higher than at restaurants.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. I've done some pretty wacky segments in 20 years of doing radio. That's definitely up there. I remember when the Vegas Take interviewed Kim Goldman, who is obviously the sister to Ronald Goldman.
Yeah, that
who
was crazy.
Brutally murdered by who I believe to be O.J. Simpson. I think most people believe that. And while we were doing an interview with Kim Goldman, it was O.J. Simpson's attorney that called in, and they got into a shouting match. That was a wild segment.
Yeah.
I think this one is right up there.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
This is definitely on the same page as Malcolm Laverne hijacking Kim Goldman's interview.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy we just had on, Trump's dirty little trickster, Jacob Wohl, was one of the highest stories that was trending on Twitter yesterday because apparently he paid off a woman to smear Fauci into claiming that Fauci sexually assaulted her. Well, guess what? We just heard it live on the radio. I don't think it went the way Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman thought it was going to go. But she basically called Jacob Wohl a liar live on her show. That's exactly what she said, and yet they were still denying. I mean, it was just wild and crazy stuff. And then you got Jack Berkman claiming that this came from the directive of the White House, didn't want to talk any further. That was a wild and crazy interview. I promise you we will post that on our Twitter page if you missed it. But that was certainly crazy.
He literally said that they were ordered by the President of the United States to create a smear campaign against Anthony Fauci.
Well, I don't know if there's any credibility to that. What I do know, those two guys are not telling the truth. They're not honest people. But anyway, you decide for yourself. I want to move on now. Speaking of people that I don't think are telling the truth. Now listen, when a woman comes forward and says that a man sexually assaulted her, I've been very consistent on this, they deserve to be heard. There should be an investigation. But there's also the issue of credibility. So Tara Reid came out and said that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her back in 1993. She hasn't done really hardly any press at all, but her first sit-down interview nationally was with Megyn Kelly. She did an exclusive interview with Tara Reid in regards to this, and Megyn Kelly asked her if she believes that we should believe all women making allegations about sexual assault. This is what Tara Reid had to say.
I believe in the survivors that have come forward, like Blasey Ford and the other ones that have come forward. I do stand with them. I think that there needs to be a conversation rather than a hashtag.
All right, well, we're having that conversation, so I don't disagree with her on that one, but she was asked, does Joe Biden deserve a chance to defend himself? Here's what she said about that.
I think he's been doing that, right? He's had a chance for more platforms than I have.
All right, I don't have a problem with anything until this point, and here's where she loses, in my personal opinion, a ton of credibility, besides the fact that her story has consistently changed over the years. Megyn Kelly asked her a very good question. She asked her, would you be willing to go under oath like the Kavanaugh accuser? Have a listen to this answer.
Absolutely. They say, well, she subjected herself to cross-examination. Would you do that?
Absolutely.
They also point out that she took a polygraph controlled by someone on her team. Is that something you want to do?
I'm not a criminal. Joe Biden should take the polygraph. What kind of precedent does that set for survivors of violence? Does that mean we're presumed guilty and we all have to take polygraphs? So I will take one if Joe Biden takes one. But I'm not a criminal.
All right, it's an interesting answer that I don't like. First of all, what a polygraph does is it gives public perception whether you're telling the truth or not. In a perfect world, would it be nice if we can get both of them in a room to take a polygraph? Absolutely. I'd be all for that. But if you're the person that is adamant that you were sexually assaulted, and there are people out there that are saying you are not telling the truth, that you're doing it for political purposes or whatever, wouldn't you be aggressive in answering that question? Wouldn't you say, absolutely, give me that damn polygraph? Because if somebody accused me of anything that I didn't do, and it was all over the world, I would want to take that polygraph immediately. I don't like her answer. Well, I'm not a criminal. Very, very bizarre way of answering that question, and I didn't like it. She was asked if Joe Biden ever given the presumption should be given the presumption of innocence. Here's what she said to that.
No, I mean it's been stunning actually how the some of his surrogates with the blue checks, that are his surrogates, have been saying really horrible things about me and to me on social media. He hasn't himself, but there's a measure of hypocrisy with the campaign saying it's safe. It's not been safe. All my social media has been hacked. All my personal information has been dragged through. Every person that maybe has a gripe against me, an ex-boyfriend or an ex-landlord or whatever it is, has been able to have a platform rather than me. Talking about things that have nothing to do with 1993, like even the whole thing with being called a Russian agent, that in particular, that incites people. People actually, I got a death threat from that because they thought I was being a traitor to America. And I mean, these are serious things. And his campaign is taking this position that they want all women to be able to speak safely. I have not experienced that.
All right, well, I will say this. Obviously, I don't support any death threats of anybody. So that's number one. There's no excuse for that. There are going to be some whack jobs out there. Joe Biden's not responsible for that, number one. Number two, there's interviews she's canceled. She's changed her story multiple times. You lose credibility when you do things like that. The women that were raped by Bill Cosby, and there are many women that Bill Cosby raped, their stories have been consistent for years. They haven't changed their story one bit. I'll even go Bill Clinton. Monica Lewinsky's story did not change. She has always been consistent with what took place. You have a lot more credibility when your story does not change. Now, I understand years go by, you might forget some things, but this is very, very different. I think she loses a lot of credibility for that.
I don't see a life-changing, traumatizing, PTSD type of experience ever changing in your brain. I mean, I'm sure we've all been through experiences where something has happened to us that has adversely affected our life or alter our thought process, for the rest of our lives, and you don't forget anything about those specific situations. And I think that this, along with the fact that it's very, very coincidental that Joe Biden is running for president of the United States. This happened 27 years ago. I'm not overly confident that she is telling the truth at this point.
I'm not so sure either. I don't think this interview helped her any. One more cut we want to play here. And she was asked by Megyn Kelly. And by the way, I thought Megyn Kelly did a pretty good job in this interview. She's pretty good at interviewing people. I'll give her that. She's got blood coming out of her eyes or wherever. But other than that, I think she's very good at her job. So she asked.
Hey, did you see Bombshell, by the way?
No, I did not. She asked.
Very good movie.
Okay, thank you. I've not seen that. She asked Tara Reid, what would you say to Joe Biden if you had a chance to talk to him right now? Here's what she said.
I want to say, you and I were there, Joe Biden. Please step forward and be held accountable. You should not be running on character for the President of the United States.
You want him to withdraw?
I wish he would, but he won't, but I wish he would. That's how I feel emotionally.
Do you want an apology?
I think it's a little late.
Okay, here's my problem with that idiotic statement, okay? Don't run on your character. She's talking about character. I'll say it again. Does Donald Trump have character? 25 women have come forward accusing Donald Trump of sexual assault or rape. He bragged about sexual assault. So for her to say he shouldn't run on character or, he doesn't have the character to be the president is ridiculous. That sounds political. After listening to this interview, I've been very careful with my statements, and I still stand true to it. All women deserve to be heard, but I don't think this woman is credible, and it has nothing to do with politics. And I'm not saying that every single woman that has come forward and accused Donald Trump is credible either. It's not what I'm saying. I think his ex-wife is. I think there are some women are in those 25 women. Maybe some aren't. I don't believe this woman is credible. And by the way, for the record, nobody else has ever come forward and accused Joe Biden of sexual assault. If you want to say that sniffing hair is the same as raping a woman, I'm sorry, I disagree with that premise.
He has been seen sniffing we'll say 7 to 10 young women's hair that are not his own child over the last 10 to 12
And he was
years.
criticized for that.
He's definitely the name Creepy Joe. He has that name for a reason. But I also agree. I don't believe this woman necessarily.
Well,
and I if you watch the documentary called Plandemic with a doctor called Judy Mikovits, you watch that documentary, you can tell that, in my opinion, that she is legitimately telling the truth. She is speaking from the heart. To me, Tara Reid sounds scripted to me.
Yes, I agree with you. I think she did sound scripted. I agree with that.
No, I was just gonna say there's I'm guessing a pretty big difference between sniffing hair and then pushing someone against a wall and digitally penetrating.
Well, of course
them.
there is.
Digitally, is that what they call it?
I just wanted to say digitally penetrating.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh,
And that's what she's accusing Joe Biden of doing in '93.
Right. You have 5 digits on your hands.
digitally. Oh,
Yes.
okay. So that's another word for using your finger.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I guess I must
just not indelicate.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I'm giving Stein right now 1 digit on my finger, but
is it your middle finger?
Yeah, I'm giving him 1 digit. I just digitally offended you, Stein.
That's very appropriate, Brian.
Digitally offended.
I really
you.
appreciate that. I'm sure
okay,
Stein does as well.
so look, should we take a few calls on this? I mean, look, I don't think she's very credible based on this interview. Take the polygraph test. That will help your credibility. Stop changing your story. Stop canceling interviews last minute.
And why didn't you come out in 94, 95, 96?
Here's why I'm not going that
every single year. I understand for the last 27 years, but and you have her mother calling in to Larry King and having that conversation.
See, that phone call doesn't mean anything.
Back in 93, and that was deleted.
Let me just give out the number real quick.
Google Play for whatever reason.
Let me just give out the number real quick, then continue. Number to call if you want to. Do you believe this woman, Tara Reid? Do you think Joe Biden is a sexual assaulter? 257-5396. Again, the number 702-257-5396.
Her story has changed. Back in '93, JD. She never came out publicly, but she did file some sort of report apparently that claimed sexual harassment. That evolved into sexual assault many years later, coinciding with an election year, of course.
Right, exactly.
So it is a little bit suspicious, perhaps. And then the other thing that she said that I thought was very interesting in that last clip that we played was Megyn Kelly said, "Do you want an apology from Joe Biden?" And she said, "I think it's too late for that." And so I'm wondering, would an apology in 93, 94 have been okay?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
If it's too late now, would it have been okay 25 years ago? I don't know what she meant by that.
Here's what I think she wants. I believe she wants Biden out of the race. I believe she has political motives. That's what I believe.
She certainly does, but she is a lifelong Democrat. So the question is, and there's been a lot of conversation about this, Andrew Cuomo, Michelle Obama in some situations, is it possible that the Democratic Party doesn't want or doesn't think Joe Biden is a viable candidate? Because I certainly don't, and they are putting people like Tara Reid in situations like this to potentially get him out of that race.
No, because if they didn't want Joe Biden in there, they would have gotten some other candidates that would have had a better chance of winning. So that's why I disagree with that. Let's take some phone calls now. 702-257-5396. Do you believe Joe Biden is a sexual assaulter? Do you believe this woman? I think her credibility has been tarnished. Let's go to James. James, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, James?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I don't think Biden's a predator. Is he a little creepy? Sure. Those two guys you just had on are part of what's wrong with our political process. I feel just as good about them as I do about what Adam Schiff has been trying to do to our president for the last 2 years.
Well, I'm not going to make the correlation to Adam Schiff and Jacob Wohl because you can, if you want to make the correlation and say that that Schiff has tried to smear people. I'll have that conversation with you, but Jacob Wohl has a history of doing this for years. I think Schiff has done some good things in his career. I couldn't really name you one good thing that Jack Berkman or Jacob Wohl have done in their career.
So we got some breaking.
And I agree with you. And those two guys you just have on, we got 3 letters for people like that, and they are POS. I'm a Republican. We need less of those people on both sides and let the reasonable people take control.
All right. Well said, James. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much.
Got some breaking news, Brian. The Clark County Commission is holding an emergency meeting at 11:30 a.m. today to discuss Governor Steve Sisolak's Phase 1 reopening standards and to direct staff accordingly.
Okay, well, that would mean it's going on right now.
Right, as we speak, yes.
So we'll continue to
Well,
update
when you tell someone that you have a day to reopen their restaurants,
Well, yeah, exactly.
The county is scrambling, as well as probably a lot of business owners as well.
And more on that, Treasure Island has just made a statement that they do plan to be opened on May 22nd. That would, and they are on the Strip.
They could plan to say whatever they want.
Well, we had South Point say that the expectation is, the last week in May that these major casinos will be open.
Okay, but it's not their decision.
Corroborates that timeline.
But it's not their decision. They could plan to do whatever the hell they want to do. You know what? A month and a half ago, there were casinos on the Strip that were taking reservations, and they were planning to open up, at the end of April. That doesn't mean anything. The only thing that matters here is what the governor decides. When the governor says you're allowed to do something, then you can do it. If people don't like it, well, that's too bad.
And I think he did say casinos on the Strip Phase 4.
Yeah, there's no way that they're going to be open. First of all, the governor said specifically between phases it'll take minimum 2 to 3 weeks. There's no chance that there's going to be a Strip casino that's going to be open in May. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, folks. It's delusions of grandeur. It's not going to happen.
It seems like you want it not to happen at this point.
Okay, well, that's ridiculous.
If I was a
I'm
listener,
speaking facts.
if I was a listener,
that's ridiculous.
I would think that it seems like you don't want the Strip to open.
I don't care what something seems like. All I care.
You take a lot of satisfaction in the fact that people are mistaken about, like for myself, about dates to open. Brian, the county commissioner came on our show yesterday and said that we are going to be in a $1.9 billion cash shortfall
that's
over the next 12 to 18 months.
Let me respond to what you just said.
That is a very large deal. That's going to result in budget cuts in the 20 to 25% range in a lot of different areas that are necessary to keep in this city afloat.
Okay, let me respond to what you just said because I completely categorically disagree. You said that it seems like I don't want things to reopen. First of all, number one, I don't care what it seems like to people. I only care about what's in my heart and what I feel, and I say it on the radio, and here is to this, okay? I'm trying to deal with facts, not what somebody told me, not what somebody thinks, not what a casino representative said, because they don't know anything when it comes to this. I am going by what the governor has said, and here is what the governor has said. Fact. The governor said in his last press conference that between phases he estimates will take minimum 2 to 3 weeks. We are in phase 1 tomorrow. Please explain to me how we go from phase 1 to phase 3 in a couple weeks. It makes zero sense. It's not going to happen. So this seeming that I don't want the Strip to open is not only not true, but I'm basing it on facts of what the governor has said, not what somebody told me or what some casino representative told me. The governor said 2 to 3 weeks minimum to go from phase to phase. So I ask you again.
I am not buying that. That would put.
So you think the governor's lying? Okay, fine.
I know. I think it's going to change. I think that thought process is going to change.
And who told you it's going to change?
I think those standards are going to change because you can't leave the Strip closed until the end of July, Brian.
Okay, but you're claiming that you believe.
And that's what we're looking at.
Okay.
3 weeks from May 9th would be June 1st. 3 weeks from June 1st would be June 21st. 3 weeks from June 21st would be July 15th. We would be looking at July 15th to start phase 4 of reopening.
All right, well, you can think the governor
stimulus
is wrong,
package
but
doesn't even go through July.
Again.
Or the extended $600 a week in unemployment doesn't even go through July, Brian.
Okay, you're entitled to that opinion, and that's fine. I disagree with you. But it's a fine line between saying, well, I disagree with what the governor said. I think he's going to open earlier than, well, casinos said they're opening May 22nd, so I guess they're going to open May 22nd. It's not the casino's choice. The casino doesn't make that choice. I am strictly forming my opinion on what the man in charge said and nobody else.
Right, and I'm saying that is going to change.
That's your opinion.
I
disagree with you.
Every 3 weeks, we're going to move into a new phase.
Okay. Well, I disagree with you. I'm only going by what the governor has said, and that's what I'm going by. It's not like I want everything closed down, and I can't stand it when people want to throw me under the bus like that, or other people that agree with me. I want things to be done safely. I want it to be done responsibly. I don't want this virus to come back in another wave. And I want to listen to what the experts say, and I want to listen to what the governor says. You can disagree with the governor all you want, but that's where I form my opinions on. The experts, okay, not politicians, not people that I run into on the street, but actually people that have more information than us. That's what I think is more important. I'm glad that we're going into phase 1 tomorrow. I think that's great. I hope everybody does it in a responsible manner. Doesn't mean that everybody should be out there storming restaurants, but I'm glad that things are going to start to reopen. But just because things are in phase 1 tomorrow doesn't mean that casinos and the Strip are going to be open next week.
And it's going to be that way. You're going to have people going to the same places where they can go. I mean, people that have been sitting at home for a month or 2 months are going to have pent-up energy. They're going to want to go out and do things. They're going to congregate to the exact same places. So the virus is going to spread quicker than it would if we just opened everything else up at once. Because you'd have more options for people to actually spend their time in different places.
I completely disagree.
How could you disagree with that?
For this reason, if you open everything up at once, I do believe the Strip might not be mobbed, but I certainly believe that there's going to be some tourism. People are going to come out here, across the country. Maybe not throughout the world,
which is a good thing.
It's not a good thing when you have a cesspool of people not practicing social distancing, thousands of people in small areas. When the CDC, the health experts, the scientists, the doctors, even those in Donald Trump's administration, are simply saying that we are not ready yet.
Some are. Some are, and some are not.
Okay. Well, how can you make the case then that in one of the highest populated tourist destinations of the world, that you're okay with that being open, but other parts of the country not being open? That makes zero sense. We would be a cesspool for this. We have to be smart about this. That's what the governor is doing. That's why the president put in place these phases to go through. Opening everything up tomorrow would absolutely be a detriment to everything we've done the last 7 or 8 weeks. All the hard work we put in and being in quarantine, it would say, you know what? Let's just forget about everything and let's just open everything up.
And let's keep in mind that in New York, 1,300 were hospitalized. They did a poll on, or they did a study on those, a contact tracing study, and they found out that almost 70% of those people that had gotten sick to the point where they had to be hospitalized were at their house, were at their residences or their homes the entire time. We could do as much excessive mitigation as we want to do, Brian. The virus is going to spread regardless.
So just open everything up.
And that particular situation, well, obviously, if you're high risk, protect yourself. If you want to wear a mask, protect yourself. It's not just open everything up and say, that's not the case at all.
All right, well, I think that's insane.
If you have the flu, Brian.
This is not the flu. Why are you bringing up the flu?
Don't pull that. But if
you don't pull that. This is not the flu.
But if you have the flu, right? Do you go to a crowded restaurant? Do you go to a basketball game in a big arena? Do you go to a football game?
This is 10 times more lethal than the flu. So it's a ridiculous analogy.
I'm saying, but if you're sick, do you go to those places?
Okay. Well,
the answer is no. Usually, if you have the flu, if you have
there's something called asymptomatic.
Serious symptoms of the flu,
have you heard of something called asymptomatic?
I certainly have.
So your argument makes no sense.
In those situations,
your argument makes no sense.
You don't get it. You don't get sick.
Your argument makes no sense.
How does it not make sense, Brian?
Because there are people asymptomatic.
I'm saying you can protect yourself.
Okay, so you're saying open everything up. You can protect
yourself. If you're high risk. It doesn't.
So why are we even practicing social distancing? Why has everything been closed?
We want high-risk individuals not to get this virus because they have a chance of being hospitalized.
Not just high risk.
They have a chance of being hospitalized, overrunning the hospitals, and possibly dying.
Okay. All right. Well, it's not just high risk.
99% of the country is when they get this virus is not going to be in that situation.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a
so asymptomatic cases from that perspective, as long as they're not being around someone who's high risk, that's all you have to do.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a news flash.
It's very simple. It's not complicated.
Even though
and you're right, there are 33.4 million people unemployed right now. There's 74,000 deaths.
Here we go again.
But you also here we go again. You're saying the exact same thing, but I can't say the exact same thing.
No, I didn't bring up.
Your position is literally, this is what the experts say, so I agree with that. I actually have a legitimate reason to bring up the things that I'm saying, and it's not predicated on what Anthony Fauci says, or the governor says, or the experts say. And the governor he's pushed his timeline forward a week already. Why would I not think that he would do it again, considering the fact how important gaming is in the Nevada economy, how there's no state income tax, how there's no free tax, and we need money from these different revenue sources to actually survive.
Let me know when I can interject. Okay, first of all, I have never brought up the flu when it comes to this virus. I never will because it's ignorant. I'm not going to do that.
No, I'm saying
that's number one. That's number one. Number two, I have a news flash for you, and I'm telling you this right now, and I'll make any bet you want. The Strip and the casinos will not be open in May. They will not be open in May. I know that'll disappoint you, and I know it'll disappoint a lot of people, but I'm telling you right now, the Strip and the gaming will not be open in May.
You're saying no gaming across the state of Nevada will be open in May.
I'm saying the Strip will not be open in May.
You said the Strip and gaming.
I do not.
What about local gaming?
I do not believe that local casinos will be open in May.
Okay,
either.
I will make a bet with you on that right now.
All right.
What
is it?
You tell me.
You tell me.
You let me know.
All right. So if you're wrong or if I'm wrong,
we bet about a casino. I like it.
That's absolutely right.
Okay, I will say
it's in theme.
I'm an idiot and a buffoon, and JD, you were right, and you have to do the same thing for me.
Okay, that's fine. I'm in for that.
Wait, you have to call him an idiot and a buffoon?
No,
I have to call myself an idiot as well as a buffoon. Okay, I'm fine.
Call yourself an idiot?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm fine with that.
Oh, we
That'll
gotta
work.
save this. We gotta save this audio.
This is
And
definitely.
no, hold on, and we are going to keep that clip, and we will play it every day for a week.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
that's fair.
And it will be June 1st because I'm saying by the end of May, gaming will not be open, casinos will not be open. Deal?
Okay, so if they open June 1st.
Nope, I win the bet.
You win the bet if they open June 1st.
I said May. Now you're backtracking?
Said May.
Okay, fine.
Okay, that's a deal. All right. I cannot wait until you call yourself a buffoon on our show. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to play it every day.
Idiot and a buffoon.
We're gonna play it every day. I cannot wait to cash in on that bet. That is going to bring me so much joy.
Or
and by the way, we're going
or you could be calling yourself the idiot and the buffoon.
By the way, it has
JD
to
could be right.
That's true. It has to be said perfectly. So I'm going to make you do like 3 or 4 takes live on the air. I'm just letting you know. You're going to have to say it like 3 or 4 times.
No. I'm a one. I will do it one time under those circumstances, and I expect the same out of you.
All right,
you got to say it with feeling, though. You got to mean it.
Yeah, you got to mean it. All right, that's a bet, folks. All right, we're going to take a weekend break. I know I need a weekend. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Be safe out there, everybody. Have a great weekend. Sean Hannity coming up next.
And sponsored by Open Jar Concepts. Consult your physician prior to discontinuing use of